We took like 2,000 guns that we knew they were going to buy in America and straw man sell to like the Mexican cartels. We sold 2,000 marked guns. We got like 700 back. They were committed in tons of crimes. The cartels took the guns and were like, we're just going to shoot these people. They just killed a bunch of people, and now they still have the guns.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
Yo, what's up, Internet? Welcome back to another episode of Three Averagely Intelligent Dudes, and today we're discussing dangerous ideas. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the kind of, I don't want to call it a crisis, but a lot of fentanyl being laced in the cocaine and different drugs, and so we're going to explore that, kind of where fentanyl came from and what it's doing out here and things you should maybe be aware of or worried about if you are, you know, a consumer of those types of things. And then we're going to talk a little bit about that supply chain in general, kind of where that stuff's coming from and like the different cartels and things that are working out here and kind of subverting our United States economy.
Yeah, the opioid epidemic is multifaceted. Lots of problems, lots of things to discuss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lots of different variables. And that's what leads to these very interesting conversations where we talk about the nuance and the pros and cons of different types of solutions and where we might go forward and make headway on, you know, these aren't simple problems to tackle, and so we break down all of those things in today's episode.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into it.
Yep.
So, I was on Instagram, and you know, we moved from LA or whatnot, and I lived there for like 4 years, and so I have a lot of friends who like live in LA, obviously. And they kept posting these like infographics and stuff on their Instagram, and they're just like, not even just infographics, just being like warnings, like, yo, watch out, like there's a lot of fentanyl laced cocaine going around. And I saw it one time, and I was just like, you know, from one of my really druggy friends, and I was like, oh, okay, makes sense.
Oh, people use cocaine in Los Angeles?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa,
wait a second.
how many of them? Yeah, like,
I think that's the story here.
Yeah.
That's what we need to be talking about.
And
Blow
so,
your mind.
just like you were saying, everybody started posting this, you know, and then I was just like, because, you know, it's a big deal out there. But so then it got me interested, you know, and I was like, yo, what's up with this? And then I looked into it and found out that there was this, I guess it all really, not all started, but a lot of people have died. In like Long Beach, I think they had 6 reported cases of deaths. But there was these other 3 that were like the headline, and it's this comedian, Fuquan Johnson. I don't know how much. I mean, this could have just been like a local comedian. He could be like a badass. I don't really know too much about him. But
yeah, I'm unfamiliar with his work.
Yeah, right. But they just keep referring to him as a comedian. But he was having like a little house party, and you know, there was 4 people there. It was in Venice. The police arrived at a home and found 3 of them dead and 1 unconscious. The last girl, she made it to the hospital, was in critical condition, but I think she might have survived. But anyways, 3, and it was just from this fentanyl laced cocaine. And so I really just got interested in this idea of like fentanyl, you know, because it's a fairly new drug from what I can tell. Like, I mean, when I was a kid or younger, you know, 10 years ago, I never heard nothing about no fucking fentanyl, you know, I didn't even know what it was. But it's very fascinating, very
Indeed.
deadly material.
Yeah, the more I learn about fentanyl, and that's kind of what you are going to be touching on here. It's like, man, that rabbit hole goes deep.
Yeah.
It is the poison that America craves.
Right now, it's our sauce.
And when it gets into the other stuff that America craves, and you don't know it, and you take too much of it because of its strength. I mean, this is how we lost Prince. You know, Prince was taking oxycodons or like pain pills or something, and they had fentanyl in them, and he died.
Damn. So how long ago was that though? Then?
Prince's death?
Wasn't that like 2000s though, right?
I would
You're
say
asking the wrong
between
guy.
2 and 4 years, probably 2 years, maybe 3.
Prince died. 2016.
So 5 years.
So yeah, essentially it was like that. Dude, I found this little statistic that kind of blew me away. Synthetic opioids, including fentanyl, are now the most common drugs involved in drug overdose deaths in the United States. In 2017, 60% of opioid-related deaths involved fentanyl. compared to 14% in 2010.
And that is a sharp increase.
That's
That
a
sounds like
enormous increase.
that's like TikTok usage.
Bro, somebody broke the bank. Yeah, TikTok just all of a sudden it just is everywhere. No, really though. I mean, it's like all of a sudden, I don't know if somebody just like broke into a lab and like put it out on the street or whatever, but it seems to be in those 7 years or whatever, like it just flooded out the streets and really got into the street market. Because I think you were touching on it's a synthetic. Like it's created in a lab. It's like a lab. I guess all drugs are created in a lab, but it's like a lab version of a regular pain pill. And
It's
this
heroin,
is,
yeah.
Yeah, it's heroin.
It's
Essentially.
heroin,
It's like
yeah.
synthetic heroin. Like when they were doing bath salts and shit, you know, like
Yeah.
synthetic weeds and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But
Those weird cannabinoids that were
Right,
like
yeah.
the THC compound.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Shit was
Spice,
wild. Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, that Seamus.
yeah, that's what we used to call that.
Yeah, we had for reference, we had our own nickname for Spice when we were in the military. Not admitted to anything here, but let's just say I, saw this around. We called it the Seamus.
The Seamus.
This is before
Smoked it
the
every single day.
WWF.
And how
rapper
exactly
of
did
the
you guys
WWE.
come about this name?
No idea.
I have no idea.
Yeah, no
I feel like
idea.
it had to do with something with this guy right
I'm
here,
sure
but-
it came from my
Yeah.
twisted brain,
Yeah.
but like I don't remember why or how.
It's just started calling it that. But we smoked a lot of that shit, and that shit will fuck you up.
Yeah, it
like
would get you
it's
high.
weird. It gets you high, but it's just a
in a
different
different
kind.
way, yeah.
Yeah,
You
these.
smoke
The
with a
only
gas
bad
mask.
trip I've ever had in my life was off of space.
Yeah.
K2
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just felt like, like, have you ever felt like your body was like made out of rubber and someone was just stretching it and then letting it go? And like I had all these weird vibrations, but they would come in like waves. And so I'd be sitting there and I'd be cool, and then all of a sudden I'd just be like, my whole body would get all like jittery or something, and then it would go away, and I was like, okay. And then it just kept doing that for hours, and I was like, this is not good.
I remember being so high on it one time. I was like trying to write on my phone, and my thumbs were like going into the phone, and I was like, whoa, and it was like really bad. And then my friend was just like marching around in the living room. She was just like walking back and forth. It was like, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. I just can't stop marching. And I'm like, it's super weird drug. Anyway.
You just made me think of salvia, because like both of those experiences sound like mild
a
salvia
nut-
effects. I know you're talking about spice, because I've hit in spice, because spice is like potpourri.
Yeah.
It's just the chemical you spray
Yeah.
on whatever
yeah.
shit you want to burn.
We had a homie making it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh man, was like, yeah, you just spritz it down,
Straight, throw it in the oven for about 25 minutes, and then
bake the chemical compound
Yeah.
into the potpourri.
Right.
Wow.
It was wild.
Sketch.
But that's my kind of point is like these synthetic drugs that they're coming, because like bath salts again was another one, and we saw people like eating other people's
Yeah,
faces.
I
and shit,
truly
like-
believe the zombie apocalypse
Yeah.
was happening when they talked about the guy with the dog. There was like one where they showed up at this dude's house, and he was like a soldier, and he had just like eaten this dog with his bare hands and mouth, just like bit its throat open.
crazy.
It was just
Yeah.
it was some wild ass shit. And the other one in Florida was the guy who ate the homeless dude's face. Like,
Right.
he literally ate a homeless dude's face
Just right
crazy.
there,
on
munching
camera.
it. Yeah.
Well,
On camera, we got
slightly
the
off
whole
camera,
video.
but it was
Well,
you
we
saw
can see it.
an altercation, and one man walked away
was
with one less
described.
face. So pretty sure that guy ate.
No, dead ass, dude, dead ass. But it's like I said, these synthetic drugs, they're weird. I guess bath salts are like synthetic PCP. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
they'll do similar things, but they tend to be in this potency that's kind of uncontrollable, and that's where fentanyl's at, dude. It's I don't want to quote the wrong thing here, because 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine.
Yeah, and then
Like,
what I was just looking at too was there's the all other offshoot of fentanyl, where it's like the elephant one.
Yeah.
It's like canned fentanyl or something, and it's like 100, even 100 times more stronger. It's like, how strong can it go? It's like
it's
Goku.
like-
I've got the best fentanyl in town, baby. You want
It's
this?
elephant fentanyl.
It's insane.
Shit'll kill an elephant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, it's kind of like they be doing with these COVIDs and shit like that too. It's like, how disease can we make this disease? Like,
Well, this variant can go from yeah.
like it's the world's most dangerous disease. All right, well, 100
What
times
we've done
that.
is we've taken the venom of a black mamba, we've spliced that gene into the virus. We just wanted to see what it would be like if we had a venomous virus.
Yo,
funny.
dead ass.
That way we can be prepared for it in the future.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, monkeys can get it, dogs can get it.
Yeah.
Like you saw
Deer.
the one about the zoo? They're just like having to fucking vaccinate
All
animals.
the zoo animals.
Your face.
Don't pull me out. Don't pull me down that road. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole this episode.
funny.
Oh God.
But drugs though.
But we're seeing this across the landscape. Like weed. Like I was watching. I saw a little info thing about marijuana from like it was like the High Times Cup 1970s winner or something like that. That shit was like some scraggly ass weed. Let me show you this shit. Let me show you this shit, dude.
Watching some of or learning about some of the history of weed, it's like that sensimilla, like that stuff that came, like the female buds, and you know a lot more about it than I do, but that origin of like that really good like Kush weed coming in like the 70s and 80s, and then finally being readily available, like way stronger now than what you were getting back then.
Science, man, is a motherfucker.
So much strong. Yeah,
I think every year they break like the records for potency, like THC potency level, because it's like 35-40% now, and that's like crazy to think, like a THC content of 40%. That's because like you said, back in the day this shit was like 7%.
Yeah, right.
Like I remember my friend's dad, who used to smoke weed in like the 60s and the 70s and was around when all this stuff was happening, and he was like, he wouldn't touch the shit that we smoked. Like we would be doing dabs and shit, and he was like, I'd never smoke any of that crazy shit. And we were like, what about Thai sticks? You ever tried a Thai stick? He was like, nah. He's like, it's totally different. It's not the same as what you guys are doing now.
Right. It's so crazy. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just like that, like technology in itself is like that. Like your iPhone doesn't get dumber, everything always make it bigger, make it faster, make it stronger. Like you never really regress, and I assume like our tolerances probably are moving because like you said, now weed's like 30-40 times more potent, but motherfuckers smoke more of it than I've ever seen. Like I mean, like they just be chiefing backwood after backwood, like it doesn't hit like that. So I don't know, it's weird, but we keep getting more potent, and so this fentanyl shit is a weird area to take that into because it seems to be so dangerous. I mean, we were already in the middle of an opioid crisis for the last 20-30 years right now, so it's to have stuff like this now starting to become super readily available. I can't even believe that this stuff is legal. That's the thing.
Well, heroin wasn't strong enough. We needed something a little bit stronger.
Wild to me. I just don't understand.
Yes.
But they saying because people were building up tolerances to a lot of the pain pills and stuff on the market now, like some people, you can usually get addicted or whatever, but a lot of times what will happen is you don't just take pain pills for a couple weeks. Like you'll end up being on pain pills for like years, which is weird that doctors allow that to happen, knowing that that's going to fuck you up.
They prescribe it. And yeah.
You have to go back to that doctor for months and months and months. So this doctor knows you've been taking fucking fentanyl or whatever you've been taking for 10 years or 2 years. It's like, bruh, you got to start. This is not like a long-term pain management system,
Yeah, that's the funny thing is like they're giving you the pain pills to alleviate the pain, but not the cause of the pain.
Right.
So that encourages the continued use of the pain pills.
Not to mention after a while, like you become addicted to the drug.
And it's not strong enough anymore. And then you need the cheap, strong alternative of fentanyl.
Yeah. But you also might start manufacturing the pain. You know what I mean? Like your brain is a very like trigger dopamine response. So if pain is what triggers my ability to get this high that I get from my pain pills, then why would you ever heal from that pain, to get your pills?
Well, this is like, why you see the treatment of the an addict to something like this having massive withdrawal symptoms,
right.
Like where it's like the body's like, give me the thing you've been giving me for everything, or I'm gonna hurt even worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
people take methadone, and there's all these
Suboxone and all that.
Yeah.
And then now even worse though, it's getting into stuff that you wouldn't expect, which is really dangerous because like I said, it's hitting cocaine. Like it was being laced in heroin for a while now, and so you've been seeing fentanyl like overdoses in heroin, but now it's moving to other recreational drugs, MDMA, cocaine. And the bigger problem that rises from this is if you've been doing heroin for a long time, right, and you get a hold of a little bit of fentanyl, it's going to feel like some really good ass heroin, right? Yeah. But your body's built tolerances to the opioids and stuff that you could actually handle something like that. But if you're like a coke dude, and you're always doing blow and you're not really into opioids.
Or your weed, weed's the other one that fentanyl can lace.
That's insane.
Where it's just the idea of smoking weed and dying from it is crazy.
It's insane. Yep. It's absolutely insane. You don't have a tolerance and then you get a hold of something that's just even mildly laced and it fucking wrecks you immediately because you're talking about something that's 100 times potent in a body that's never even touched the substance.
Yep.
And it's really
And not
scary.
only that, but it's because of the way that, it's cheaper, and so they're cutting all kinds of different drugs with it. But
Yep.
like you said, if you've never been one for opioids and you're used to cocaine and you're used to the strength of the cocaine that you usually
Right.
get, but this next batch that your guy gives you has been laced with fentanyl, you might do your normal amount of cocaine,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
overdose on the fentanyl because that fentanyl is like that extra in there that you don't realize.
Sounds like that's what happened to Fuquan Johnson.
Yeah.
And like
Absolutely.
I was thinking, I'm not trying to like make fun of this tragedy, but I was thinking like that last girl in the circle of like taking the hits, the one that like didn't die, who was unconscious, like rushed to the hospital. Was she just like, is it just really, really good? Like,
Yeah.
should I just do a little bit? You
Yeah.
know? Because
Yeah.
it's like, first one takes it, second one takes it. By this point, this guy's probably starting to feel it. You get to the third person, take their rail. Now the first guy who did it's probably like starting to
Slump.
fall out. Slumping. And like these two are already committed because they've done it. And now that fourth person's like,
I'm gonna take a little.
I'll do like a half a line. Yeah.
Dead ass. No, because dude, I have to tell this story back to the salvia, but just the first time I ever smoked salvia, this is like me and like 4 of the friends, and none of us had ever smoked it, And I'll never forget, I'm like the first one up, and I rip this bong, and I'm just like hitting it, and I go into I hit it huge, and I go into this crazy trip, right? And of course, you ever been on salvia? The worst thing is like everybody's just like, ha ha.
oh God, it's the worst.
Laughing.
He's
You're
freaking out.
Yeah, and you're like, in your mind, you're screaming out loud. You're like, save me. But when you see people in real life, they're just like,
It's so accurate.
Yeah.
That's why it's funny. It's so accurate. If you've never done it, accurate.
yeah, so accurate. And so you're sitting there, and I remember I'm like dying on the floor. Everybody's laughing at me, and so I'm realizing like, okay, I have no communication. I'm
Ego
freaking out.
death.
Yeah. But then I see my other homie, and he's about to hit it. He's holding the ball, and he's about to hit it, and I'm like, don't do it. No, don't go. And he's just laughing. He's like, oh, yeah, okay.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Seems like it's something I want to do. Let me beam up with you.
Like that Dewey Cox scene when he's like opening the door and the guy's in there doing all those drugs. He's like, it's the most cheapest, best drug around. You don't want it.
You don't
He's
want
like,
this.
it sounds like I want
Turns
it.
all your bad feelings into good ones. Sounds like something I'd want.
I just, in this scenario, I just seen the first guy, he's just done all this fentanyl-laced cocaine. He's just laying on the couch, like slumping. He's like,
Yeah, he's whispering. They're like, what's he saying?
he's like, what?
What?
yeah, he's
Saying
just watching.
dope, do it.
Do the dope. He's saying to do
dope.
it.
He's saying it's dope. Do it. Go for it.
Must be some good cocaine.
Yeah. But it's bad, man. It's bad. It's not only here. It's like all over the place. And I was wondering, I was like, yo, like, where's this shit even coming from? Like, how is this even like a deal? Like, obviously, if FDA approved drug, right? I don't know that for off top.
I don't know for sure.
I know that we're shipping a lot of it in from China,
Oh, okay, yeah.
ship it into Mexico, and then smuggle it up.
Oh, coming
That's,
through.
yeah.
But I was wondering, I was like, are people just like crushing up these pills and like just lacing and stuff? But I guess on the street it comes in just straight powder form.
You can get it through the U.S. Postal Service. My
Yeah,
man.
just straight to the door, huh? Is FDA approved is a really good thing because it just feels all government like created. You know what I mean? They'll be like, yo, these would be the same motherfuckers tell you to take a vaccine. FDA approved Onsilis the third. Okay, so yeah, it is. Certain fentanyl drugs are approved by the FDA as like good to go, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's good to go for cancer pain, I guess. Is
Yeah.
what they,
and in the proper dosage, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to.
Well,
fuck
it's like
with anything
morphine,
that,
it's like morphine's like, FDA approved or something,
True.
like to a thing, but it's like, you don't want to just be a morphine user on the
Yeah.
street,
But you see what I'm talking about? How long has morphine been around? Like years and years and years and years.
Long time.
And
It's the same kind of root, heroin.
Right.
That's essentially
Yeah, it's
what
the
it
same
is.
family.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking about something that's extremely like one of the most potent drugs on the planet. you don't really hear about that being laced, you know? Like, I never heard of, like, somebody getting a hold of morphine laced something.
Yeah,
you
like,
know?
I think my cocaine was laced with morphine. I was a
Morphine,
lot more tired than I thought I should have been.
Yeah, so why is this fentanyl? Like, I feel like somebody just escaped the lab with, like, a whole kilo of that shit and just, like, flooded the market or something.
I mean, this could be something where, like, you kind of hinted to this earlier, where it's like, what's the cause of all this? Like, why was there the opioid epidemic? Like, when our Afghanistan episode, we talked about the heroin and how we went in and there was a sharp increase in opioid use in America, which is essentially heroin use. You know, you got to, like, harvest the heroin, you know what I'm saying? You got to get them poppies. And so now we're looking at, China can just make fake heroin in a lab that's 100 times stronger. It kills elephants. And we're like, fuck, man, ship me some of that shit.
Yeah,
I'll cut it with my heroin to make it stronger, and then Prince dies.
What have we been doing the last 20 years? We could have just got the shit from China.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
now
you can.
And now you miss that baking soda. You know, like, at least we were just cutting it back in the day.
Yeah, when
with
they were
some
cooking
shit
crack.
Yeah, you know, like, they just cut it with something that
Yeah.
makes it less potent, you know? And it's like, you know, shucks, I got a shitty batch, you know? But now you got to worry about it being, like, too good. And then you're like, it just sucks. Because then even if you, like, say you don't die, right? Say you just get it. But what are you going to do? You're going to recommend that to your friends. You're like, dude, I just had the best cocaine I've ever had the other night. You should check it out. And then it's just going to, you know. Yeah,
and I've seen cases where guys get convicted, like drug dealers get convicted because they, like, knowingly do this, like lace something and then sell it. And, you know, like the one with weed specifically was, like, rough because it's like, man, you're going to put fentanyl. Why would you put fentanyl in weed? Like, what? It's like when we were, like, going the old wives' tale of, like, they're poisoning the Halloween candy with razor blades. And,
yeah, right.
Where did that even come from? Like, who the fuck? Like, how do you put a razor blade in an apple?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it just doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, somebody did that, you know, and it just happens one time. But we didn't see a 60% increase in razor blade
apples.
Our ICU beds are taken up with people with lacerated mouths.
Yo, deadass. Because, I mean, I always just joked about, like, worrying about my drugs being laced, but I never actually worried about it, you know? Like, I haven't done things like blow or anything like that. Anything really outside of weed.
I've taken some
psychedelics.
I've taken some risks with weed though, because I was smoking dab pens and I was smoking, like, fucking, what do they call the extracts or the there's another word,
wax?
No, it's concentrates.
Yeah.
So
and under the table ones too. Like, like ones that, like, I was buying off of homie too.
Yeah.
Like, not even like.
I seen some of the ones that I knew were counterfeit after the fact. They're like, if you ever see the ones that have this name on them, like, they're fake. I'm like, I still got the box from the one. That shit was terrible. I've had homemade. I had a homemade one that was wood grain. I was like, damn, wood grain. That shit look hot as fuck. And I started smoking it, and it just glassed up on the inside like I was smoking crystal meth. I was like, okay, not smoking that concentrate.
No longer.
But I'm saying, like, I've taken some risks with that, even with weed. It's like, how do they get those? Who's making those pens? Where are they coming from? Like,
how do you even know? Because, like you said, especially with those weed pens, I remember that stuff being, like, a big deal. Like, and they were putting out warnings and stuff like this. Like, yo, these ones are, like, fucking people up. Yeah, because somebody's just making them in their garage or whatever, and they're fucking up the chemical, you know, compound of it. And it's like,
that was a big deal. I remember when concentrates first came out, was like the first wax stuff that I would smoke was just brown and saucy. And that's just, now that I know more about it, I understand what was going on back then, but that's just them not cooking off the butane properly. Because when it started with butane extraction. Like, that was like the first one to get big, and it was still probably the biggest one. But you have to cook off that butane if you're going to smoke it, because if you're going to smoke it, then you don't want to be just smoking butane. Yeah. And so that kind of stuff happens. What's weird about it is, like, there's something about the process of making fentanyl that makes it so cheap, which I think is, like, the biggest issue for why it's becoming such a big problem now, is because, like you said, back in the day, you would cut your shit with stuff that you would rather not cut it but you needed to increase your profit margin. And so you would put a little bit of flour or baking soda or whatever in there. But now, like you said, and that would dilute it. That would make it less desirable to drug addicts or whatever. But now you can get this cheap shit. It's probably a little bit more expensive than baking soda, but it increases the amount of, like, the high that you get from the drug. So it's like, that's a win-win there. Yeah. Why would you not do that if you're a drug dealer?
From what I heard, it's cheaper because it's so potent. So you can use a very
tiny
little bit. Yeah,
it's
like an economy of scale.
You know, and drawing the comparison between, like, cocaine and crack and like pain pills and fentanyl or heroin and fentanyl, it's kind of works a little bit because it is kind of like a juiced up synthetic, more powerful, riskier, deadlier version of this effect. Yeah, and cheap. That's the key there. Is
It's cheaper,
and it's coming by the bushel from Mexico.
Yeah. I would assume so. Yeah, from Mexico. I mean, that's where I want to say all drugs come from, but a majority of the drugs in the United States are coming in through Mexico.
I put some opioid epidemic facts in my thing here. It says in the U.S., addiction and overdoses affect mostly non-Hispanic whites from the working class. Talks about Native Americans and their susceptibility to this. There's significant speculation as to the root causes of the demographic differences, but thus far a credible explanation is yet to be found given the complexity of the issue and the difficulty in controlling for variables. In 2014, roughly 12% of young adults between 18 and 25 reported abusing prescribed opioids. And you see, this is where we're talking about the sharp increase, where, you had stats from a couple years later that were talking about 60% of the overdoses. So it's like,
or fentanyl, because like you said, we were already overdosing on opioids.
Yeah.
Far before fentanyl was around. Like, that was already like a huge thing. Is that you could just OD on just a regular opioid. I don't know, but now you got these fentanyl ones that are just so much more strong. It's like, it's crazy. And I mean, for the FDA to still like allow that to be, obviously they're not allowing it to fall into the cocaine or anything like that, but to say that we're cool with like this in our society and stuff on our side is weird to me when you have something that's so potent, so dangerous. And what's scary? It's like we were talking about with those pens, like you couldn't tell the difference. No. Like, like when I would go and buy that weed pen, it was a different brand name, sure, that you never heard of, but it didn't have any type of like sign or anything. You would not know unless somebody told you. And the same thing with this fentanyl stuff. It's a white powder. It looks just like any other drug pretty much on the market, and you don't even know. Yeah. And
we need drug regulation that regulates our drugs and like makes it so we don't, like, if I want to go get some fucking fentanyl, I can get some fentanyl. Yeah. But if I want some cocaine that doesn't have fentanyl in it, I need some trusted, reliable source.
That's why I'm digging the legalization of a lot of drugs and stuff, because along with that, it's just like when people want to see sex work be legalized, it comes with all those protections that you afford everything else. Your food and your water and all these things have some type of regulatory body that looks over it and makes sure that the shit isn't happening. And so I definitely think it's a strong case for legalizing certain drugs so that you can, if you want to pay the premium, because there is a premium involved and everything. But still, like, to me right now with the way this situation is, I don't understand how my friends are still doing blow. Like, I'm just like, it's like playing Russian roulette at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you're literally just sucking off the end of a revolver hoping it doesn't blow your fucking brains out. And I'm like, it's just so scary because you don't know. And dude, that's the thing with cocaine too. It's not one of those things where you measure it like that. Usually when you start on a night, like you start and then the night ramps up. Like it ramps up until it's gone or until the night end runs out. But I've never not once really been like, especially with cocaine, because it wears off so fast in these like little 20-minute increments. I very rarely got, and I've never been like super heavy dude, but to the point where I'm like, whoa, that's enough blow for me for one night. Like, I'm done, buddy. You know, like with alcohol, it's a cumulative effect. So you can get to a certain point where somebody's like shot and you're like, nah, I should not do that. But with that, you're partying, you're hanging out. Somebody's like, you want to do a bump? You're like, hell yeah, let's do, and you just, I don't think you can really think about it in that context. And it's just scary. I wouldn't be fucking with it. But I really liked that this article posted about having safe measures. I don't know if it was in this one or the other one I read, but they were saying, look, if you're going to do it, like, have Noxolone on deck, which is like an anti-overdose medication that a lot of heroin users would keep on deck just in case, because it's more like the game. But if you're doing blow or if you're doing Molly, you don't know it like that. Like, I've never seen Noxolone ever in my entire life, so I don't know. But and then also having test strips, and like testing your drugs before you take them, which I mean, like, I thought that was really smart and very conscious of them to just not be like, don't do it, because your people are going to, but now
figure
it's
out
like,
a way to actually help
right
them.
Like, don't not fuck, but at least wear a condom.
And if you're gonna go through all the work of doing cocaine. Like, you know, like just get a test, you know, get a test strip. Or get like, you know, because you're already having to go through black market and all that stuff. Like, it's not like weed. You can't just go down to the dispensary.
Right, and just get it.
It's not Bud Light.
They have all the percentage of every chemical in there laid out for you on the drug packs.
No, it's just it's somebody's greasy pocket.
Yep.
And he's
sweaty
telling
bag.
you the name, and it's like just even asking your drug dealer, like, where you get this from? Like, you not once have I ever been like, where you get this from? You know what I mean? Like, you have no idea.
It's true. Especially the more illegal the drug, the less questions asked.
Absolutely.
Like,
there's some transactions where you don't even speak. You just walk up, exchange, and then walk away.
If you want to get some acid, you're not going to be like, hey, is this ethically sourced? Like,
is this fair trade acid?
Is this cage-free acid? Because I just want to make sure.
Do you use any hormones in the
is there gluten?
What did you guys use for the inoculant in the medium that you grew your mushrooms in?
What sort of pesticides were used on-site and off-site?
Were the cows that shat the dung that these mushrooms are grown in, were they grass-fed?
Because they have to be grass-fed if you're going to put it into your system.
Oh, man, this is 2021, guys. Come on now.
We're scientists
Get your
now.
shit together. You know, save the planet.
Will people really just be out here and be like, yeah, I'll take 3 acid, please?
Dude, and it only gets worse the bigger you get up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you got some... I don't want to be stereotypical, but I'm just like, you know, you got a guy.
White people. No, I'm just playing.
Okay, my first stereotype of mine was trailer trash, but then I also thought about frat boy. So
they're called non-Hispanic whites is what they're called.
That's the demographic you're looking for.
But no, you got some Joe Schmo or whatever, and he's dealing directly with the cartels or the Mexican drug smugglers, and you're definitely not asking them. You know what I mean? Like, you're definitely not rolling up on a $50,000, $100,000 drug deal, being like, you know, I'm gonna test this real quick, and like, you know, all that. Like, it's just not happening, man. So, because I can't imagine that those people, the lower, like the guy that you buy it from, he doesn't even know it has fentanyl in it.
No,
like, I don't think he would even know. I don't think that's something that happens on the. Because, like, it could happen with the other way around. Like, you know, there's the regular Joe Schmo who buy Coke and then cut it with, like, you know, should I? Can I say that on the internet? I know a guy who used to sell Molly, and
theoretically speaking, if I were to have
sold Molly before,
this is neither an admission of guilt.
I would have cut it with sweet tea. I'm just if I was gonna do something like that, right? You have this like brown Molly type thing, and then like a little bit of Lipton sweet tea powder. It looks the same, and it's not gonna kill you. I mean, it might fuck your nose up a little bit or something if you're like snorting it out here, but it's not gonna kill you, you know. But like, that's something I would do on a local level, but a guy I know would do on a local level.
Yeah. You see, the secret is a lemon lime pixie stick. You just mix it in with the fentanyl,
right? But I
Gives
can't
it a good
imagine.
twang.
I can't imagine your homie just in there, just being like, "All right, a little bit of Coke, a little bit of fentanyl, shake it up." You know, like it's coming to them that way. It's got to be coming to them that way.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's really interesting when you think about it in the sense of, like, this is why when I lived in Texas and I was buying all my weed illegally, like, people would ask me what it is, or like sometimes I had people that want to tell me like, oh, this, I got some of this and some of that, and I'm like, yeah, it's whatever, dude. I don't believe you, really. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I think that you're lying. It's just that I think that somewhere along the lines within the hands of that this weed has crossed, somebody lied about what this shit is.
Right. I love the demographic, like the isms, you know, where it's like when in this area it's called this, in this area it's called this. You get different things because like not everybody gets like to go to a dispensary, especially 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, when you were purchasing in Texas, it was just like a guy got a big ass bag, and that bag got broke down to a bunch of dealers, and then they had maybe 3 different types from 3 different other guys. So it's like you've got like an indica or maybe a sativa, or like one looks kind of orange, you know, and it's like you could basically the way it was around me was like you just knew that one of those bags was the Snickle Fritz. Right. Somebody was going to be getting the lower quality of those 3 or 4 bags. As long as you were in with the guy who was selling the bags, you got the good stuff. Or sometimes he'd let you pick. You know, you know, if you were close, you know, family business, you might go in there and get your pick of the litter. You know, first choice.
I used to have a guy that let me do a mixed bag.
Yeah,
I
a
get
little
an
potpourri.
3 different types of weed.
A little trail mix. Yeah, I like that.
That was nice.
And he's definitely not going to be like, "Don't pick that one that's got the fentanyl."
I keep this one for the fuck boys.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like, this one is the OG Crankanaut. This is the Tenoctahydrine. Like I've
got that new osmosis fentanyl, dog. You need to get your hands on this.
It's scary though because like we were talking about, the trend only keeps moving. Like what comes after fentanyl? You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Like wait, where do you draw the line and be like, these drugs are good for the next 1,000 years or so until our body develops to a point where we need something like that.
You just look at the shit and feel like, yeah, this is so good.
Yeah.
You just look at it. You don't even have to just.
If the drugs are in the same room as you, you get high.
If you
The
can
pheromones.
Don't do that coke around me, bro.
I gotta get a drug test tomorrow. This shit's in the air, dude. Particles. That every time you crush up a line,
it's like COVID
you're
is just
releasing
in the room
fentanyl.
with you.
Could you imagine though? But I mean, that's scary because we're living.
I'd be wearing a mask. I tell you that.
Yo, we're living in the future, and it's like, sometimes you watch these future movies and they do something, like drinking some crazy blue vial or something to get fucked up. And
I think drugs are going the way of inhalers. Like from Minority Report and shit. Have you ever seen those weed inhalers? It's like 10 milligrams per puff or whatever, and it's like microdosing. Yeah, like it's all gonna be inhalers soon. You're just gonna have this little thing, and it's just gonna be like your cocaine inhaler.
Yeah.
I would say eye drop, but that's kind of hard to do. So like, I was surprised cocaine hasn't moved into the form of just like a nasal spray thing. It's just like somebody mass
Dude,
produced.
if somebody just diluted it into some liquid, oh my god!
I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna,
Dude,
you can be at work.
the fentanyl already comes in patches, pills, powder,
You got fentanyl patch?
drops. Yep, they come in lozenges.
I'm no longer smoking fentanyl. I'm on the patch.
I'm on the fentanyl patch.
I need a throat lozenge.
with fentanyl.
Give me one of the fentanyl.
And he just gives you the wrong one. Like, oh, sorry, I thought I gave you the breath mint.
Oh, my bad. I actually had a fentanyl
Actually,
lozenge in my mouth.
I forgot I hit him in my Altoids can.
They just come and they look like pinwheel peppermints.
Oh no!
We're laughing, but it's bad,
It's
dude.
bad.
It's going that way.
It's so
'Cause
bad,
they do
it's
it.
funny.
They do it on blotter paper too, so it's
Like acid?
Yep, just like acid.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Can you imagine taking just like a straight eye drop of fentanyl?
Yeah.
You know, just like straight to the dome piece.
but there are people out here who would do that though. There are certain people who are just getting high on fentanyl straight up,
just straight fentanyl.
and I'm like, you're the most. Maybe you're not the most insane because I mean, at least you know what you're doing.
It's
you know?
like, it's like you're
know
taking the
it's
most poisonous, deadliest
Right,
thing. And it's
right.
like Steve Irwin. You get bit a bunch of times and you're just immune.
Well, there's not enough tests. There's not enough trials to find out if it's like it might not just be the fentanyl alone, because these chemicals can react together in your body in certain ways, which is why like you have to like tell your doctor what drug you're already taking before he can give you another one.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not saying it is, but it's a possibility that fentanyl mixed with other chemicals is more lethal than fentanyl on its own.
It's true.
Because, like, you could do ecstasy or you could do pure MDMA.
Yeah.
And so ecstasy has a little bit of MDMA in there, but it's also got some other stuff in there, some Wonder Woman stamps.
Which
you
I've
know,
seen
it's
in
like
heroin cut, meth cut, like the whole.
they put all kinds of stuff in
I
that.
personally experienced what I believe was dextromorphine. What? Yeah, like Robitussin, the active ingredient, that shit, like with ecstasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very wild.
It's
There was
very
mild
weird.
hallucinations.
Yeah.
I've
we used
had
to
some
sip that
weird
shit
ones.
and spray it at work.
One
at
time
school.
I took these little blackberry ones that were just straight meth. They were just straight pressed meth. Like it was so bad. Like I remember me and my friends the next morning, we weren't high anymore, but you just could not go to sleep. I was just laying there and I was just like, I remember calling my friend. It's like 3:00 in the afternoon the next day. I'm like, you up? Yep.
Yep, still stuck in this
Can't-
Robitussin trip.
You know what I mean? Can't get out of it.
I'm locked in.
It's scary.
Locked in
dude.
the box.
It's going bad, but I mean, I think when we were talking about the fact of like maybe regulation could save us, what if this devil could kind of be like an angel, a devil, and I don't know, it could maybe end up being a good thing because we're talking about the numbers. Not a good thing, but we're talking about the numbers going up from 14% to like 60% in a matter of 7 years. That was in 2017, so we're 5 years later. We don't even know what the numbers are at yet now. But maybe what if this stuff floods it to a point where it's too risky to do drugs anymore? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything's laced to the point where you're just like,
Can't safely do it.
you know what I mean? You just
That's
can't
an
safely get
interesting,
a hold
because
of
I
it.
know that people that are more right-leaning or maybe more like libertarian in the sense of like wanting free market regulation, but the free market regulation is reactive, whereas government regulation tends to be like tries to be proactive in its approach. And I think that the difference would be because in like a market situation where all of these things were decriminalized, but you still had to buy it from like a guy, there wasn't like a legalized shop that you could go to, you'd still have these problems, but people would have to be more communicative about where they get it from, and there would have to be a lot more transparency, because as soon as one bad batch comes out, your whole customer base could fuck off. Like they'd be like, nah, dude, you gave Jimmy that one bad batch and now he's fucked up and
like
we're not fucking
Amazon
with you.
review.
Yeah, so I think that in this particular instance, I can see government having a more intricate role in it because, as I say, freedom is messy. So they're trying to mitigate the negative effects before they happen rather than being like, oh, shit, that last batch of cocaine killed 200 people. We should probably not buy his cocaine anymore.
I remember in the very early days of vaping, like 2012-ish, something like that, a local shop opened, and one of the things they kind of hipped me to was that there was within their own industry, a body, which was a regulatory, like a FDA.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to send your juices out to them. You had to get, like, you had a stamp on your bottle, like, of approval. Like, it was a whole process where they were basically saying, like, we don't want you poisoning people. We don't want you not knowing what's in your shit. So we're going to collectively, as like 10 different companies or brands or whatever, get together and say, well, we're at least, since the FDA won't touch this, we're trying to self-regulate.
Yeah.
And, like you said, with the government stepping in, in some cases, it's like, how long are they going to wait? Why can't you just look at my drugs, tell me if they're good or not, let me take them, and just try not to tax it too much. I know you're gonna want some of the pie, but
sure.
Let's try to keep it down.
That's right.
I already pay you a lot in taxes.
Yeah,
I think that it's interesting that you bring up that example because it reminds me of like the difference between like a USDA organic label on a food product and like a fair trade label on a food product. Like fair trade isn't backed by any sort of governmental agency. It's just a private organization that has gained a reputation for being truthful and honest or whatever. And so like that has a certain weight to it when you look at it, and that signals to certain people a message. Whereas the USDA one does the same thing, but from the governmental side, where it's like, we check this out as the government. And so it really just depends on where you feel like the authority lies for the issue. But I definitely think with drugs, like, it's weird to me that as much as it's weird that fentanyl is like FDA approved and legal, it only seems weird when I compare that to all the stuff that is illegal and the stuff that you can't do. And if fentanyl can be legal, then cocaine could be legal. Like there's no reason why it can't be.
Well, and I guess
but it's because it's like fentanyl's legal for like cancer pain. Like nobody prescribes cocaine usage to like fix something.
it's the same way you get the Whippet canisters and shit that you fill the balloons up with in England, which is like one of the biggest
nitrous
popular drugs
oxide,
over there is nitrous oxide. It's like you just have to be like, oh, it's it's for my airsoft. Well, I don't know what there's a specific thing that they use.
I think those are CO2, but yeah, it's like
something like that.
Yeah, you can get those. I remember
for cleaning my computer out.
Yeah,
I remember the neighborhood that I lived in Austin when I first moved there had a ton of those little canisters, like the ones that you would see Steve-O do back in the day when he's like really into
things.
Yeah, it was like a little thing where you just screw on this little thing on the back of this little bottle, and it's just pressurized nitrous oxide, and you would just it was for like bakeries, like you said, for like confection sugar and like foam and stuff, like if you wanted to like but they would just fill it with drugs. It was like the early days. It's like an inhaler. It's basically an inhaler for nitrous oxide.
It's like me in kindergarten sniffing the glue.
Or if you've ever watched the documentary about the family from West Virginia, the White family. It's a Jackass documentary, so it reminded me of that. But it's called The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. And the dude talks about, like, I've seen multiple documentaries about the family and the guy that it's about. He's like this old outlaw dude. And he openly talks about huffing gas.
Yeah.
And how he would just be out there.
Like gasoline gas?
Yeah, just gasoline gas.
I've done it.
Just huffing the shit out of it. He'd be like,
crazy.
I'd get me a rag and soak it up with gasoline, just hold it over my face for... dead ass. It's an interesting documentary.
I've done it with spray paint too, huffing spray paint and shit, and it's It's really
It
scary.
reminds me of Mad Max Fury Road. Shout out if you ever seen that movie. The
Yeah.
guy sprays the silver shit in his face.
Yeah.
We sprayed it like it had like napkins or something in a styrofoam cup and sprayed it in there, and then you just put the
It would
cup
like
up
hold
to
the
your-
fumes. Yeah.
and up to your face. And I remember like sitting down at first, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is really weird." And then I started freaking out, you know. And my buddy was like trying to come over, and he's like, "Calm down, man, it's okay." And I was like, "Get the fuck away from me," you know. And then I like just sprint out the front door, and he's like, "No, come back!" And I'm just running, and I'm just sprinting down the street, and he's chasing me to like get me, but his footsteps sound like something chasing me, you
Right,
know?
yeah.
So I'm running like faster,
Yeah.
and you ever seen Disturbed 10,000? I think it's 10,000 Fists, the album cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those guys were chasing me, and they started like coming off the top of the roofs. Like I was like running through this neighborhood, and they were like crawling down the roofs, and I just kept
Jeez.
hearing these footsteps behind me, and I was like PCP juking this motherfucker. Like I ran in a cul-de-sac, and we were doing the whole thing. I was like, and I like got around him, ran all the way back to the apartment.
Like Day and Next Friday.
Yeah,
Oh my god. Oh, dodging that big chick.
Yeah, just like that, bro. And then I remember getting back inside. My friend was pissed. He was all huffing. What the fuck's wrong with you? And then I was like sitting in the chair over in the corner, and I'm like, Frank, there's a Captain Crunch tree growing in our corner. Like it was like a tree that was growing crunch berries off it. I'm like, get me a crunch berry. Yeah, it was really weird. Yeah, the drugs, you know.
Now I want some
Drugs
Captain
and-
Crunch.
Yeah. Now I want to huff some paint.
Yeah, I was gonna say now I want to go down to my local paint dealer and get.
That's our new code word. Anytime one of us is like, yo, you guys want to eat some Captain Crunch?
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say
You'll
maybe
know
this
what I'm
is-
talking about.
Yeah, huff and spray paint. You put it in a bucket with some napkins.
Yeah. I guess the point is we're gonna find a way to do it regardless of regulation or not, or
Yeah.
whatever. You're gonna find your way to get your little rocks off. But I was just like, maybe this is government intervention. You know what I mean? This is like the third step to Ronald Reagan's plan on the war on drugs. He's like, if we fail in in the lawmaking, we'll just poison them till they can't do it anymore. I don't know.
Well, it's like it's
Nancy
I-
Reagan's just sitting there like, yes,
It's all working.
Release the fentanyl.
we're perfectly on plan. They'll soon be tired of these drugs.
What's so funny about that is like you always make this point about like maybe it's not puppet masters pulling strings, but rather reacting to the strings being pulled or pulling themselves.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it's like a reactionary less
Yeah.
than a.
They're
a
presented
plan.
with incentives.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, I see that Americans really like pain pills. Maybe
Yeah.
we just flood the market with pain pills.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like maybe they don't think about the next logical step of fentanyl, but like they're moving with the pieces as they see them for nefarious reasons. So the point being is like, well, maybe it's not our government. Maybe our government had a hand in opioid crisis being so prevalent in the last 20 years. But maybe it was somebody else's government that's taking the reins of the fentanyl. I was looking at, in my document, the fentanyl's coming from, overseas a lot. Like that's like one of the main sources. It goes from overseas. If you scroll up, it's this right here, that bottom paragraph. It says over a 2-year period, close to 800 million worth of fentanyl pills were illegally sold online to the U.S. by Chinese distributors. The drug is usually manufactured in China, then shipped to Mexico, where it's processed and packaged, which is then smuggled into the U.S. by cartels. A large amount is also purchased online and shipped through the U.S. Postal Service. Thanks, Uncle Sam.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Uncle
Damn,
Sam.
That's crazy.
Delivering my drugs.
And you
Yeah,
could
just delivering them straight to
I mean,
Amazon Prime.
We've
I guess
had
that
this
makes
happen,
sense.
though. I mean,
Yeah.
we've
yeah.
I don't think we
Look,
can
the
say
U.S.
that,
Postal Service
is
known.
definitely into drug trafficking.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a known
100%.
quantity.
Them and the CIA are like buddy.
Wait, those people I be knowing, they used to get steroids too. You just get on a website. It's like a very easily accessible website and order them hoes straight from like Croatia or wherever the fuck they were getting them. And
I'll tell you
to
right
your
now,
door.
if you want something knockoff, it looks like it could probably be. Like I really wanted another pair of LeBron Soldier 13s. Very hard to find them. You
Yeah.
can get them on eBay for my size, but it's very difficult. They don't come up often. China, They say, how many you want? 6?
Yeah.
I mean, 14?
Yeah.
You need 70. If you need 72, it's only $25 a piece.
Right.
Yep.
If you're only going to get one, it's $64.
Because they
But
ripped
if
the
you want,
patent and just start.
Yeah, the same factories. I remember
Yeah.
when I found this out. The same factories that they go to in China to make the shoes or the clothes or whatever, they use the exact same materials, the exact same plans, and they just make the shoes. Because again, the profit margin on that stuff is so high that it doesn't cost them to keep using. Like, it's not like luxury brand items where if you're using like this rare Australian crocodile skin or some shit like that. Like it's just kangaroo leather. Like most like basketball shoes and Jordans and stuff, like they're made with kangaroo leather, and that's a huge market in Australia. They have a shit ton of kangaroos, like too many really. And so like they just remake the same thing. It's literally the same shoe, and they just sell it to you for the cheap.
Mm-hmm.
and the more you buy, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah.
And so like the point being
Scale.
like, you know, if you want fentanyl, you can just go online and get it from Chinese. They sell tons of illegal drugs through the Chinese market because they don't. Over there, if you want to sell America a drug that's going to make it weaker, they're all for it, baby.
Go for it.
I'm not saying they're nefarious. Like the Chinese aren't sitting there like, oh yeah, baby, we just flood the market with fentanyl, kill all the Americans. No. They just see that we want cheap pain medicine and they can provide it.
Yeah.
So they're just moving with the pieces as the pieces are moving, and they're making great decisions. China, great, you're doing
They're
great
smacking.
work here.
Coming up.
Yeah, you're coming up. This whole fentanyl thing you got going,
It's
It's a lick.
The Americans love it.
Is the next top notch, you know, damn, we explored this in a different episode, but that would be the greatest way if China wanted to. I'm not projecting onto them, but if they wanted to undermine the United States, their fastest, easiest, most effective way would be to exploit us through our supply chain. You know, it's like you said, like flood our market with faulty generators and faulty drugs and all those other types of stuff.
get everybody using Huawei phones.
You know what I mean? Like the people talk about it. I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do or that's what they're doing, but you could see that as a good strategy. You
If
know?
I was gonna undermine a country,
yeah, you know.
I just think if
I
I was,
I might do
let
some
a couple
similar
diseases escape. You never know. You know
I
what
just,
mean?
I would. Good one.
Damn.
Caught me off guard. If I was them, that would be like, okay, think about it like this. If you were America and your plan was world domination, not saying China's plan is world domination. I'm saying like, if you're a big country in this world and you want to dominate every other country, how would you do so? What things would you enact? How would you move with the markets?
We like to use Patriot missiles, but I know that's not
Yes,
the flavor of
yeah,
everybody.
exactly. We like to just have the biggest military in the world and just kind of show everybody every week that if you're an innocent man collecting water in Afghanistan, we're gonna kill
We'll
you
drop
in
a
700.
drone on
we'll just drop a drone on
Yeah,
you.
well, don't be collecting water in Kabul.
No water for you.
Yeah, put that fucking
You
water
see that
down.
clip?
That's our water.
You see the clip where they
I
were
watched
like,
the- I watched the visual
was
investigation.
that man an operative? And they're like, well,
The guy the Biden administration droned, was he an aid worker or an ISIS-K operative?
The administration is, of course, reviewing that strike, and I'm sure that a full assessment will be
So you
forthcoming.
don't know if it was an aid worker or an ISIS-K operative?
I can't speak to that, and I can't speak to that in this setting in any event.
So you don't know or won't tell us?
I don't know because we're reviewing it.
Well, see, you'd think you'd kind of know before you off somebody with a Predator drone, whether he's an aid worker or he's an ISIS-K.
well.
Oh my God, that answer
we
was
don't
so
know.
bad.
And he's like, you think you'd know before you drop a Predator missile on somebody that they're an operative or not. But,
Yeah, and I watched the visual investigation that led to, a couple days later, I think it was like 7 or 10 days later, they came out and they're like, all right, you got us.
It was. He was somebody who helped. He wasn't
He worked
quite
for an NGO.
necessarily part of ISIS.
Well, wow. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail your point.
No, but I'm not really sure what the point
You were saying
was.
if you were going to, if you
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to dominate the
If you wanted to
entire world.
dominate the world, then these are tactics that you would see. Like, oh, I will release a virus, or like if a virus got out, I'd exploit it in some way. Or if I see that my enemy, because they would look at everyone as their enemy, as something to be conquered. If this was, and this could be any country in the world, then you would say, oh man, they really love pain pills. We can just produce a whole bunch of cheap pain pills that'll like make them overdose and get them addicted, and they'll be dumb, and we can eventually, after years of them killing themselves, just come in and clean up the carcass.
Yeah.
You know,
We
just-
wiped the Native Americans clean with blankets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it's like people think that we just massacred all of them with guns and stuff. Like, no, we just gave them smallpox and shit
Yeah,
like
the
that.
majority
Like,
of it was
things
through
that
disease.
would undermine their immune system. Which, what's up with Native Americans and their, like, not like what's up with the Native Americans? But I'm
Yo,
just saying,
What's up with your weak immune systems, you Native Americans?
Are these guys
I'm saying what's
immunosuppressed?
interesting, like that they do. Even they talked about that in the fentanyl thing, like that they react harshly. We've seen like what happens to them in like alcohol and things like that. They seem to have like these immune systems that handle these substances in a way different way.
I think
than
it's
other
I think
demographics.
it's more nurture than nature.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think that if you think about it, like, think about where all of these drugs come from. Not America.
Yeah.
They're manufactured and produced, even the natural ones like heroin and all that stuff, like they're mainly produced outside of America. They're plants and compounds that are not native to the American
Very true.
place. So they never, that's why, because the thing that people forget is that when the Europeans came, the Native Americans had diseases that the Europeans couldn't deal with either. But it wasn't the same. Like, it was like one person was giving the other the flu and the other person was giving the other cancer. And so it ended up being much more detrimental to the Native Americans. But a lot of English people, whoever immigrated to the Americas during colonization, a lot of those people got sick and died too. From it's just not as many. It wasn't like such a big outbreak.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like their whole lineage of their ancestry and their biology was not set up to deal with any of these things. These things were completely non-existent to them, so they would have no reason to.
Yeah, it was
so
less,
then when
less
they show
deadly
up,
stuff.
And they were
yeah,
isolated for like thousands of years
Yeah.
before we were. I guess, you know, like Columbus sailed there in like 14 something or whatever, right? So I mean, we're talking thousands of years where they were
were there for a
in
long
this
time,
Whole
yeah.
little
Literally a completely different world.
in
Yeah.
Europe and all
Especially
that.
if you look
stuff
at
was
Aztec or the
crossing.
Mayans and stuff, where it's like Montezuma's revenge is just you poop yourself.
Yeah,
You know, that's what
yeah.
the conquistadors and the white
Yeah.
people coming to the Europeans got. They got
Yeah.
poop.
Yeah.
You got
Dysentery and shit.
dysentery and
Yeah.
shit. Montezuma's revenge. Whereas they show up and give them smallpox.
Yeah.
And
everybody fucking dies.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
kill swaths of their
90% is some of the highest numbers that I've seen. Like 90% of Native Americans that died during the thing was from disease.
That's so crazy. So, I mean, you can see how that could be an effective strategy. Because, I mean, this is a little, like, blurb right here, but it said, you know, this has created the so-called opioid crisis, which is strongly affecting Canada and the United States. In addition, other OECD countries, such as Australia and some European countries, have also began to increase or experience raising trends of opioid consumption and overdose deaths. So, I mean, it definitely seems to be an American problem that's starting to spread out.
Oh, it's
but,
catching on.
yeah, you know, but I mean, that makes sense.
We got fentanyl fever, baby.
You ever hear about people talk about crack hitting the streets in the 80s? Like, that shit was just like, Shazam! Like, America was like, we love this shit. More of this. We also have the economic capabilities to consume this shit. Like, send it our way. So, it's going to be a little scary. I won't be doing no coke for a while. I'm going to tell you that
Yeah.
much. I'm going to lay off on the blow for a little while and just like, and you know, I never, like I said, I was never one to really be like, oh, I got to get my blow this weekend. But I'd be out and people be like, yo, you want to hit? And I'd be like, sure, you know, let's do a couple bumps or whatever. It's just the risk factor now is just a little too high for me. Even like you're saying, the marijuana, like I'm glad I live in a state where I can go and run down to my local dispensary. And like I said, they got all the drug facts laid out for me right there. Not to say that they can't be polluted as well, but I
mean, some oversight is better than none.
Yeah, you're
Nah,
mitigating
yeah.
the risk to
yeah,
some sense.
to some extent. So I'm glad for that. But outside of that, it's like, I just don't know if I can do it because that's just a sad way to go out to me.
Well,
Streets ain't safe.
You know what I mean?
Look, if my government's going to be involved in my drugs, I'd rather them regulate it and step in so we have less overdose deaths rather than just, you know, like create the cartels.
Yeah,
you know, like or like train the Zetas. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when we talk about this later, we'll talk about U.S. intervention in the drug war on the cartels, and it doesn't. It seems to be having the wrong effect.
Yeah.
Like when you give them guns and train them, they use them to
Yeah.
smuggle drugs.
How
strange. How
Yeah.
strange. It's kind of like when we fund them building bunkers in the mountains of Afghanistan. And
And then we can't find them
then
later.
they hide in those bunkers. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have funded the bunkers.
Yeah, right. At least watch the planning and the building of the bunker.
Yeah.
Or just
Like, know
don't
where they're
misplace
at.
the map of where it was.
Yeah, like know where they are and shit or something like that. So, I mean, my thing is like they even called this it's an epidemic in our country, and you're just not seeing a lot of resources or information or anything driving towards that. It's like, we're in the middle of this health pandemic and whatnot, and you see the response to that, but then it's like we have other pandemics out here that are just like health, like obesity rates skyrocketing. You got opioids skyrocketing, like all these other things that are very detrimental to our society. I think they said 16 million individuals, this is worldwide, more than 500,000 in the U.S. are dependent on heroin. That's just heroin alone. So, I mean, think we'd pay attention to that a little bit, come up with some type of vaccine to stop heroin overdose.
We got a heroin vaccine.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, obviously it's possible. Obviously you can just manufacture some type of world-saving drug in a matter of a year and a half. So it's like,
oh man,
how long have you had opioids around to be able to
how
get
shitty
around
would
that?
it be if they like did manufacture that? Like, oh, it removes the ability for your body to like overdose on drugs or whatever, and then like 20 years later you end up like Captain America, where like no matter how much alcohol you drink, it just your metabolism just burns it all up, so you can't get drunk.
Insane.
And like now that would be like if you really wanted to get people to stop doing drugs, you just remove the high. And it's like, what you doing all that blow for?
Yeah.
Chasing the
It
dragon.
reminds me of the good times. I like the bleeding, and it's nice.
Oh man, a placebo. I'm riding a placebo,
Yeah.
dude. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. Like, the more that we talk about how, like, because everything seems to have this natural progression of, like, you do the drug, you want more of it, we make it cheaper and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just happened across all the different drug platforms forever. It's like, when is, like I'm curious to think, like, what's about hallucinogens? Like, when is somebody going to come out and be like, this is mega acid,
But they've been doing it. They've been doing it. You never heard of DMT 10 years ago? 15 years ago?
That's true. We
Licking
do have mega acid.
the toad? Like, what's
No,
the
that's an
toad?
ancient
Like,
thing.
Yeah.
But, like,
it
how
just
far
came
do
around.
you go with psychedelics until it's just
Right.
like...
Yeah.
Until you're catching these toads and extracting the juices out of their skin and concentrating it.
Or just, like,
and then you just get blasted into
or you
another
just
universe.
actually go into the other universe and just shift out.
Can't come back.
Just phase out.
Damn, dude. I wonder if that would ever get to that point where you could just die from or get put into like a permanent psychosis because you just took super acid,
See, this is something that I could see.
super acid hitting the streets, sending people in the fucking
This is
mental
something that I
institution.
could see, like, virtual reality coming into play.
That's where I was going to go.
Where,
with it,
if you could get virtual reality to a point where it's so good that you could just go to like a VR cafe and just experience being high on heroin without actually having to ingest you,
Yep.
and then you just come out and you're like, all right, cool.
Or it's just like a sound they play that makes you feel.
Dude, yeah, what was that? The brown note that makes you shit.
Assuming this could be done, you just play a certain sequence of sounds where you're like,
Frequency, yeah.
whoa, I'm so fucked up on heroin right now.
Nah,
But it's
that's
really
true,
just the
though.
vibrations. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's
Because-
got to be something there with vibration and sound where you can unlock things.
Because a lot of these chemicals, they get you high by, like MDMA, for example, just increases your serotonin production in your own brain. So it's really it's not that the chemical does it, it's a triggering chemical that does something.
Start some other process.
in your
Yeah.
body. So like you said, if you could eventually just like circumnavigate that to just like hit them with a sound or
Yeah.
hit them with a
I mean, shit, some of these dudes are doing it with just
neural link
breathing.
that just,
So, I mean, if you can just
Ah,
breathe your way
you
into
know
an
what I mean?
acid
Like,
trip, then you should be
yeah.
able to listen to one, too.
I just picture somebody having one of those tiny little portable speakers and just walking up and putting it on your cranium and it just hits your frontal cortex.
Dude, have you
And
guys...
it's a slap band. You're like, yo, you gotta try this. And you just slap it on their wrist, and then they're all like, whoa! I'll do that.
Have you ever seen those? Have you ever seen those headphones that go on your jaw?
Yeah,
They don't like go in your ears or whatever.
Or
like,
hearing
they-
aids that
like-
go inside.
Yeah,
of
like
it.
I can imagine somebody being like, "Oh yeah, man, just stick this underneath your chin. You have the best night ever."
dude, it's going that way. It's gonna go that way. Damn. I almost wonder, like, that feels like a good solution.
That's not a bad solution.
It feels like
it's
a
the best
good
of both worlds.
solution.
You get the heroin trip, and you don't have to worry about overdosing. It's all in VR or whatever.
Yeah. The only thing I think could be dangerous is like the effects on the mind. Like maybe, like I said again, like if you could, maybe Jimmy's been sitting in the machine for 14 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we talked about with that
can't relate
haptic
to-
feedback vest for your kids when they're playing games. All of a sudden you come in and they're just like letting the demon stab them in the chest in Dark Souls over and over again.
just playing the heroin.
Run it again.
Put it on hard.
Yeah. you just got the heroin sound on loop. Yeah, it's.
Oh shit.
And the thing is too about that, like you're not gonna run out of electricity to power your sound,
Right.
you know, but you can run out of heroin to do.
Right, and then like how much is that gonna cost? Like you said, is it like you buy it's a $4.99, like you buy the Xbox and then you can just get as much as you want, or is it like?
Yeah, I'm done with the heroin. Put the cocaine disc in.
Is this like old Blockbuster or like Netflix?
Is it a streaming service or a rental service?
Because binging on the heroin game could still probably prove to be detrimental. But you get a point, though. Like you said, it's not necessarily usually the effects of a drug that kill you. It's the effects on your body that kill you. So if you can simulate that in some way.
Or I remember with
that would be
ecstasy, it was you
fascinating.
didn't drink water. You know, you
Yeah.
overheated,
Yeah.
or you
Right.
know, you.
It's true.
Yeah, that's so. It could just be side effects of
Effects.
how amazing you feel.
Yeah, but if your body's not involved at all and it's just straight like a neural
thing,
thing, like I wonder how
Interesting to think about how the brain thinking it's being affected would affect the body that is not being affected.
Yeah, 100%.
We gotta get space
I mean, I
on
guess
top
this
of
is
that.
already a thing. You know, like I don't know how you take placebo heroin, but I'm sure it works. I'm sure it works.
That's what we gotta find out.
How do placebos actually like? Do you need to have a certain pep talk? Going
How to do
into it?
heroin in VR?
Yeah, like if you just like, because like, you know, they give people sugar pills, but they tell them that it's like,
Right.
so there has to be that sort of like deception there.
Like a
I'm pretty
grooming
sure.
has to
Yeah,
happen
like a
where-
grooming. You have to be primed for it to work. Like it's not like,
Because I can't give you placebo heroin and be like, oh, this is placebo heroin.
tell me how you feel in 2
yeah,
days.
like you know, but I gotta like lie to
Sell
you,
you
say
to you,
yeah.
yeah.
but-
Reminds me of a great short film by Jack Black from Tenacious D with his partner Kyle Gass, where they are in the desert and they're supposed to be like taking LSD and they're just like in their underpants in the desert. And like Jack trips like the whole little first part of this little short film. And then like Kyle's like, I'm not feeling it, you know? And he's like, bro, this isn't LSD. This is EPT, and it's the error-proof test. And he's like, and mine's positive. And then he shits out a butt baby. But the whole first part where Jack thinks he's tripping acid from the EPT pregnancy test, he's like, I told you I didn't have to piss anything to get high. It's great. Great writing. Great trip sequence.
Yeah, that's
Super funny.
so
Yeah.
funny. But anyways, nonetheless, fentanyl's out there. It seems scary, especially I'll put the warning out to all my LA friends and all that because it seems. I mean, it's hitting other places. New York. I even heard Lincoln, Nebraska is having some cases. So, I mean, it's nationwide. But you know, at bare minimum, use your protections. You know, I'm not gonna say like again, don't have sex, but I would always recommend people use some type of contraceptive. So use some contraceptive. Put that condom on your drugs. Test it before you
Get your drug
sell.
facts.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Ask them for the drug facts.
Every good drug dealer will have the drug facts. Yeah, verified.
Now we got to insert our skit right after this.
Yeah. Show me the drug facts. Yeah.
But nonetheless, where's this coming from? You know, let's talk about some of these. Like
Ooh.
like you said, it seems to be going in from like China and being created there, but you still have to get it to the U.S. and the U.S. is not too keen on just letting China dump a bunch of drugs
Yeah.
into our
Your
system.
two major routes are through the U.S. Postal Service and over the border,
Yeah.
or around the border if you're in a submarine. Which, by the way, man, doing research on cartels, it's extensive. I'd looked at just a ton of different stuff and was just kind of using what also I was familiar with. Man, so these guys are ingenuitive, man. Crazy ingenuity. I mean, like this, and I don't want to focus on it too much, but like the submarine thing blew me away because like I assumed that you could just like make a submarine, obviously. But that takes a certain level of expertise. You know, you're talking digging tunnels. We've been doing that for a really long time. You know, but submersibles have really not been around for more than like 80, 90 years, maybe 100, 120 years tops. And even if you go back that far, it's like they're not making blimps, you know, like they're not, you know, like these guys are making submarines that are going underground or underwater with so much drugs in them. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
It's
And they're literally
insane.
just like criminal they're like the mafia. They're essentially the mafia.
What's even more crazy is just the guy that gets in there and rides that bitch all the way across the Gulf of Mexico. Like, dude.
Yeah,
Dude,
probably done
like,
20, 30 trips a year.
The profit margins must either be completely insane or your situation is so destitute. It's probably a combination of both. That, I mean, they're just so brazen, so bold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the things that they do. I haven't seen ingenuity like that except for, like, in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Like, the things that those dudes would make bombs out of and stuff. I was like, wow, that's just clever.
And I wanted to quickly point at, I'm going to talk about the Zetas cartel and the Sinaloa cartel. Sinaloa is the one where it's Chapo Guzman. And that's like the one you see in the
famous one.
the famous ones. And then the Zetas are essentially like a hit squad that was trained by America to be part of like the Navy SEALs of Mexico, that just a ton of them defected and formed a cartel.
Wow.
We trained them. It was like 99, 2000. Like, we trained them and they were just like, man, this is some really good training. They came to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, best of the best, and got the training
Home
from
of the airborne.
Yeah, that's where they were training, because they were the airborne unit in Mexico, because the way they'd roll up on these cartels previously, or these guerrilla groups like the Zapatistas and shit like that, is they would be in like a Black Hawk style helicopter, just roll up on you with the minigun and just you know what I'm saying? Like they were very much like that was a tactic they used. So they came to America, we trained them, we sent them home, they started the Zetas.
Yeah.
So once again, why America keeps doing this
is like,
like history doesn't repeat, but we see the rhyme here, because it's like it's rhyming, because this is the same thing we saw with Afghanistan. It's the same thing we saw with ISIS. It's the same. It just keeps happening where we're like, yeah, we'll train you and fund you and do all these things for you because you're kind of helping us in a tertiary way right now, but you're not gonna turn on us, right? Right. And it's like, and the Zetas have got all their fucking fingers crossed behind their back. Sure, we're not gonna turn on you.
Yeah, we're gonna protect Mexico.
Yeah.
And and not to mention our dump. I really wanted to touch on the U.S. policies in relation to the cartel, because I had these really quick things I wanted to touch. The Fast and Furious drives me crazy. This is the one you've heard about during the Obama administration shit, where it was like we took like 2,000 guns that we knew they were gonna buy in America and straw man sell to like the Mexican cartels. We sold 2,000 marked guns. We got like 700 back. They were committed in tons of crimes. The cartels took the guns and were like, we're just gonna shoot these people. It's killed a bunch of people, and now they still have the guns.
Right.
So it was like, why the food and drug alcohol, is that the one? No, tobacco and firearms. So ATF.
Yeah.
Why the ATF would think this is a good idea? I mean,
it's really weird, man.
We do this a lot, but the last one I wanted to touch on before I talk about just solely the cartels and then moving the fentanyl and stuff like that was when I was looking at the Zetas, I was really interested in these two different cartels. So I'm learning about them. And it says Zetas is comprised of, these people, and former U.S. Army personnel. And I said, whoa, the guys that trained them? Did they get the
teamed up with them?
Whoa, like Americans teaming up with the Zetas? So I click on the articles. There's 3 articles cited in Wikipedia. First one's in Spanish. Can't read it. Sorry, guys. Second one doesn't mention U.S. Army personnel anywhere in the article.
Okay, so
third one is an FBI indictment of a bunch of guys who got honeypotted because these FBI guys who were not in the Zetas and were not any part of the Zetas said they were the Zetas, and got these dumbass American soldiers in South Carolina, Virginia, like a 30-year-old, a 32-year-old, strung them along for months, years, bro, talking to them about this hit they were going to get them to do.
Oh,
and I just picture these dummies, guys like me and you, just being like, yo, I'm going to meet up with my friend. He says he's part of the cartels. I'm like, word? Let's go talk to him. And then he's like, we need you to do a hit. And we're like, damn, dude, we can make $80,000 a piece if we just go fucking hit this compound. Let's get 2 or 3 buddies. You know what I mean? But the whole time, it's just all the Spider-Men pointing at each other. They're not Zetas. So in your Wikipedia article where you say the U.S. Army personnel are part of the Zetas, You're talking about these fucking 4 dummies from South Carolina.
They got tricked into.
They got tricked by the ATF
That's like that
or
kid
whatever,
with
the feds.
that they turned into a terrorist. They like radicalize him, give him the cell phone bomb, and then when he pushed the button, they were like, "All right, you're arrested for terrorism."
He was like, first I gotta call my mom. Yeah. Literally, the guy was like, I gotta call my mom first. Just want to make sure.
Right.
And they were like, well, we got you now, terrorist.
Dude, seriously.
But literally, like this is what the FBI, this is what the feds are doing with their free time.
Because, I mean, I got roped into this, you know what I mean? I ended up in Afghanistan just because of that, Somebody was like, yo, $10,500 a month. And I was like, say word? What I got to do? You know what I mean? So
Just fix these helicopters.
Yeah, just come over and fix these helicopters real quick. So you're right. That's a far cry from, like, the United States Special Forces, like.
Yeah, it's a far cry.
Team of Green Berets, Coyote.
Yeah,
The proper way you would have phrased that would be like, U.S. Army personnel would like to be part of the Zetas cartel, but have not in any way yet made their way into the Zetas cartel.
Yeah.
They tried.
Yeah.
Turns out it was all a ruse.
And also point out that it's 4 dummies from South Carolina.
Yeah, it just
too,
that
not just
drove
like
me crazy.
The United States military.
But this also points at the Wicca.
The whole army.
Yeah.
This also points though to the Wikipedia thing, where it's like they cited 3 articles. I didn't find anything in those 3 articles to suggest that what they said was true.
Yeah, Wikipedia is a.
But I believed it at first until I clicked on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I very rarely like go through the articles cited.
Sources,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I see that they're there, and I'm like, all right, I feel good. They
sourced
cited
the
some-
material.
They sourced their material, but damn,
Yeah.
way to teach us to take it one step further because I'd never done that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to not to rant too much on this, but very quickly, I was going to share something on Twitter without reading the article, and Twitter said, "Hey man, you didn't read that article. Do you maybe want to check it out?" And I said, "Probably not. But I want to learn more about you talking to me like this." So it brought me to a help center, right? And then I was like, oh, this is interesting information in this help center. Let me screenshot it. No. You are unable to screenshot this.
It wouldn't let you screenshot their
No,
policies.
sir. And
sketchy.
I abandoned my joke completely. It was all
Yeah.
a joke on Twitter.
Yeah.
I saw an article that said they were selling a Native American cave with Native American cave paintings in it for millions of dollars. And I was going to say, this NFT thing's gotten out of hand. Really good joke. But instead, I got sucked down a fucking web help Twitter rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Where it wouldn't let me look at it. So I just abandoned it. I was like, well, fuck you then.
what?
Yeah, fuck it.
Well, fuck you then. I'm not gonna. If I can't screen, I was gonna take my other phone.
Yo, Twitter, man, they're really getting serious about it. We did it in that one episode where they're talking about communal.
They said you're not screenshotting that. Like it was
Yeah.
like Snapchat. They were just like, no, sir.
Absolutely not.
No, sir. You better have a third-party capturing technology.
You better OBS this shit. 'Cause you're not getting
Yeah.
You better OBS.
You better OBS that shit. But I want to get into the cartels. I don't want to get off too much on that tangent, but it's just like source your information shit. Like this was telling me that U.S. personnel were in the cartels,
Yeah.
and I was like, I was a U.S. personnel. I'm interested in this.
Didn't anybody tell me about this?
Ain't nobody tell me about that. Like, but
You know, it happens though.
it
Because,
does gangs
like,
and lots of stuff.
This is, I mean, I don't know. I'm basing this mostly off of movie knowledge and stuff like that. But sometimes you can get in too deep. You know, like they have all these undercover operations and stuff, but you make friends, you start getting the money, you start living
Start
that
flying
life.
the drugs over from Colombia in a plane.
Like, oh yeah, that one CIA dude who turned into a drug smuggler.
Yeah, Tom
like,
Cruise, I believe his name.
Tom Cruise.
I sat in the plane that they used in that movie. Remember, I was at
yeah,
that
in
restaurant.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, there's a
crazy.
plane in Costa Rica that they say was, and they could just be making up this whole story to like add more lore to it. But
Every Outback
supposedly-
Steakhouse has Crocodile Dundee's hat. Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, for real.
Wow, this guy had a lot of hats.
But that was the CIA guy, the Costa Rica plane.
Yeah.
Contra?
Contra affair?
Contra,
The Contra
yeah, the
affair?
Contra
Yeah.
affair,
So we've
yeah.
talked about Fast and Furious with the cartels. This is drug smuggling from Colombia, which
What's Fast and the Furious? Though?
Fast and Furious was us selling 2,000 marked guns to straw buyers in America to get to the cartels, and then just letting the cartels
See,
use
because
them.
I was getting confused because I'm pretty sure in Fast and Furious 6 or
The
10,
reason
they started drug smuggling.
the reason they talk about they call the Fast and the Furious affair that is because there was a car club involved somewhere in there where it's like, I don't know if it was the American side of the straw buyers or something, but there was a car club involved. So it was like, oh, this is catchy.
Yeah,
These street racer guys
Let's
are
brand it.
buying guns.
Hey, at least I thought that they were just making up all this shit in Fast and Furious, but they're loosely basing it on loosely
Real
based.
events.
Yeah.
Based on true events.
Ish.
I flipped my car and destroyed a tank.
I drove up a falling bridge. As if
It was in Mexico though.
So, yeah, this is actually it right here. Gun walking or letting guns walk was a tactic used by the Arizona U.S. Attorney's Office and the Arizona Field Office of the ATF. It was a series of sting operations between 06 and 11 in the Tucson and Phoenix area, where they purposely allowed licensed firearms dealers to sell weapons to illegal straw buyers, hoping to track the guns to Mexican drug cartel leaders and arrest them. Didn't work.
They do this all the time though. They do this with money. They do it with drugs. They do it with guns, and then you just lose that shit.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got some serious answer.
Somebody's like, we're tracking it, and it's gone.
Like I seen it.
don't know where it went.
we lost it.
I've seen it in again movie knowledge, but you see it in movies where he's like going to the FBI director and he's like, I need $1 million, and he's like, what the fuck do you need $1 million for? Well, I'm gonna loan it to the cartels, and then they're gonna lead me to
From like
the
American
shady
Hustle
guy.
and shit.
Yeah, and you're like, bitch,
What?
are
Are
you
you
fucking
crazy?
insane? I'm not giving you $1 million to just lose in Mexico somewhere. Like you're crazy.
And that's what's so interesting. Like I can understand the logic behind doing it with like drug purchases. Like they take money and they buy drugs from somebody, or they'll use like a proxy guy to like sell drugs to arrest people. And it's like, all right, you're kind of facilitating the movement of drugs illegally, but whatever. I'll overlook. You're just committing crimes in the process of prosecuting those exact same crimes, but we'll overlook it this time.
Yeah.
But with guns, it makes no sense because it's like, I'm going to give these operating firearms to these people who are known murderers in the hopes that I can track them back to the leaders before they're used in any murders. And I'm like,
No, they want
you
the
guys don't
murders
know
to
much
happen.
about. Well, yeah, that's true because then you can't prosecute them with
you gotta
anything.
convict
Yeah.
them. So it's like, we give them the guns, right?
We
Then
let
they
them
murder
kill
people.
somebody and then we arrest
Then
them with
we
the gun.
investigate those murders, and if we could then get the guns tied to those murders, we got them, guys.
Not to mention, how high do you think this goes up? Like, it's not like when they make a purchase of 2,000 guns, they take them back to Pablo Escobar himself, and they're like, "Are these the guns you wanted?"
Touches every single one. Like, these dudes don't. Yeah, they're
Let
not.
me put my DNA on every one of them.
Like, what did you think? This dude's gonna hire somebody. He's like, you need to raise an army. You need to get some guns. You need to kill these motherfuckers over here. And that's it.
That's it. Yeah,
I don't want to hear
the next
nothing
time
else
he even
about-
sees this dude is when he
It's
tells him that
done.
it's over.
It's 6 months done already before you come back and ever see me again. Like, anyways, but yeah, they lose it. But it's definitely cartel action. I don't know if it's been on the rise. Did you see is like cartels on the rise or on the decline? Because I know that late 80s, early 90s. Like I remember in the 90s. Shit was wild. Like when the war on drugs was like, I mean, essentially the war on drugs was the war on North Mexican cartel.
So in the mid 90s, we did the North America Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. Bill Clinton signed. It was like his big policy. It was like his Obamacare, but it was for free trade or trade. And in Mexico, shit went over like a fucking lead balloon. The southern Mexicans, the Maya ancestry farmers and those people were like, yo, Walmart's gonna move in here and just fucking ruin this, man. They were more, they've evolved some, and the more I learned about this group, they're called the Zapatistas. They're more like libertarian social, and they went from in the mid 90s like being a militant faction that conducted like basically they took over a bunch of towns in southern Mexico, and then the Mexican government came in and kind of forced them out, and then they were like, okay, we'll stop fighting, but we're gonna be a political force, and they've kind of stayed that way for a long time, and they were in direct. Like, they came about because NAFTA happened. Like, NAFTA was signed into effect, and that day they came out and we were like, we are the Zapatistas. We are against this free trade agreement because it's going to fuck us, and we're going to take some towns over and shoot some people. They came right out after NAFTA. Like, it
get the American guns back out. It's time
yeah,
to
somebody
go
get me
back.
the American straw buyers, all right? I need more guns for my
We're
revolution.
going back to what we used to do.
What originally led me there was learning about the Zetas, and I had falsely kind of put the two. I was like, oh, Zetas, Zapatistas. I thought maybe it was like the military, unit had no, it wasn't. It was two different things. But learning about these guys from NAFTA creating the Zapatistas kind of led me down this whole like movement of like where like these people they're looking for a cause and they're looking for a purpose, you know, and to have something like their own kind of political movement is great. I would, you know, if sometimes we go down there and we meddle and it's not so great, but this was like a people's party type thing. And it sounded like something good. And then look at it now. There's no people's party. There's cartels that run a corrupt government.
I was gonna say that because like didn't Pablo Escobar run for office and everything?
Exactly.
So,
once you
like,
make enough money
yeah.
selling drugs and being a big business,
Yeah.
because this wasn't always a big business. Once the borders kind of opened, because that's kind of what NAFTA did, is it made it a lot easier for illegal shit to get through. Because now you're moving tons and tons of
Yeah,
stuff.
there's stuff just coming.
So
and
it
going
really
and
just
stuff.
skyrocketed the illegal.
And we talked about the ingenuity of these motherfuckers, man. Like you see
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the stuff that they're just so.
They
these
see
dudes
what
are
we
smart,
like
man.
and they do it better. They're like,
Yeah.
whoa, you guys are making meth labs and trailers. And that was a
Right.
huge problem in America, especially in the Appalachia areas. People just making meth trailers everywhere,
They're-
blowing shit up and killing each other and
Yeah.
making terrible meth,
And then-
like really bad meth. Well, then Mexico steps in and is like, just like Breaking Bad, that shit's real, bro. They got the major pharmaceutical, like top of the line shit where they'll just make a little place in Mexico and with all the right stuff, make the best meth you could ever make. Flood the market in America. Now you control it.
dude. Yeah.
People don't make meth labs in America anymore.
because the Mexicans just did.
You just get the cheaper, you just get the Mexican
One
meth.
very simple example that I remember seeing was a lot of immigrants, like when people are migrating through the desert and coming over, they staple carpet to the bottom of their shoes to hide their footprints, so that they don't leave like Nike footprints all the way to where they're going. I'm just like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like you can't tell me you would have thought of that. You can't sit here and say you would have been like, yep, let's just staple carpet to the bottom of our shoes, and that way we just kind of shuffle along. I mean, and then they hide things in panels and which I mean, if you've seen any show or any movie, you'll see that these guys are just clever.
Oh, everything.
man.
Boats,
Yeah.
trains,
But-
submarines,
yeah,
stuff flying over,
submarines,
drones.
hot air balloons.
I
like,
remember
you know?
seeing that Operation Odessa documentary on Netflix, and it was talking about how like in the 80s these dudes were this cartel they approached these Russians about purchasing an old Soviet submarine to use for drug trafficking. And like the craziest part of the whole documentary was when he was like on the phone with the guy. Like the cartel comes to this Russian dude who connects them with the old Soviet guys who have this submarine. And he's on the phone with them, and they're like, do you want it with missile or without missile? And he was like, no, we don't want a missile. We just want to sell them a submarine. Okay, no problem. And I was like, they were going to sell these assholes a nuclear missile.
Yeah, dead ass. Yo, these narco submarines are insane. Like,
These ads are fucking ridiculous.
yeah, it's getting really bad on every website that we
Yeah.
go to.
It's funny, like, not to get super off topic, but John, you talk a lot about like the inundation of advertising, and I'm like having to do research on articles and stuff, which is something that I used to never read articles or anything.
Yeah.
I'm like seeing it more so now. I think because of the way like I do everything kind of like, especially on the internet, I do it all like backdoor shit, so I don't have to deal with ads anyways. That I don't realize how much ads are like such a big deal. Like I don't watch TV. I have like all the streaming things I do are either like a streaming site where there's no ads, or it's like a Netflix thing, so there's no ads. Like you have a subscription. It's like a shit ton of these.
You ever sit on a park bench?
A park bench.
Go by a bus stop. I mean, them shits is everywhere, even in real life.
I think about
you
it
know
like
what I mean?
this too. It's like I would imagine, like I wish I could follow my mom around on one normal day, because she's not really on social media and stuff, but she'll watch TV. She, she might turn the radio on in the car. She passes billboards. I would wonder how many ads hit her, right?
Yeah.
And then I would look at someone scrolling social media and look at how many ads hit them, and it's or somebody watching YouTube without premium, or watching Hulu for free.
And see like the disparity.
Yeah,
and, like,
and see the
how
difference.
many more. That's interesting.
Because I think that with social media being so prevalent, that it's almost like our TV commercials are just right there. You know what I mean? And there's hundreds of them every day. Just
It's
TV
even worse
commercials.
because they're like your ads. They're not just the ads. They're like
Tailored to you specifically.
specifically made for you.
Yep.
It's
They could
really
also be
sick.
from, very like it goes as far as to just like you watch a YouTube video and you subscribe to this guy and he's got an ad in his video. And now it's like multi-layered where it's
Yeah.
like you're getting it from the guy that you get your gaming streams from, or you're getting it from the guy like, you know, like I like to watch really dry, boring Magic the Gathering content that's really slow and quiet. And even then, on the screen, he's going to have buy from this card company and use this code in my name to get this off. And it's like, yeah, I'm not using those codes. I'm not buying those things, but a lot of the consumers are. So it's like you're getting an ad the entire time you're consuming this.
It's wild. It's gonna get out of hand.
Yeah.
It's gonna get just as potent as the fentanyl. You know.
But,
have ads. They put that shit in everything. But
So what'd you find in this article?
oh, the article. Obviously, I was trying to get us to the picture of the narco sub, and I think I'll pull it up like here in a second. But I caught this blurb that was just like, yep, exactly what we talk about. According to the U.S. Foreign Military Studies Office report on narco submarines citing Drug Enforcement Administration statistics, that's a mouthful, 80% of drugs smuggled into the U.S. in 2012 came from maritime routes.
Wow.
And 30% of the drugs that arrived in the U.S. by sea were conducted via narco submarines.
Wow. That's
like,
a lot.
Like narco tanks, narco submarines show how cartels have mastered do-it-yourself engineering. Even so, around 1 in 4 of the vessels are interdicted?
Interdicted, I think, caught.
U.S. authorities have captured narco subs with as much as 7.5 tons of cocaine on board.
Wow.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
some serious
Sprinkle a little
numbers.
fentanyl on that
You
shit,
know what I'm
and
saying?
You're killing
like,
a lot of people.
a lot of people. I mean, you know, that's my thing is it only takes one batch. Like these dudes, when they move, like they move, you know, they're not bringing a kilo. You know what I mean? Like that's a tons. 7.5 tons. That's like the size of like a fucking Mack truck. You know what I mean? And
it's
just
huge
blow.
amount of cocaine.
And if one of those shipments is fentanyl or anything like that, it's go time. You know what I mean? It's go time.
I think the number I
Can you
have in
imagine?
my document is annually the cartels pull in just off of drug sales. And we're not talking human trafficking. We're not talking guns or hits or anything. Just drugs. I think it was like 69 billion.
Yeah.
It's the top line in my cartels document to get the number,
ridiculous.
but it's up there. 19 billion and 29 billion annually from drug sales just in the U.S.
Bro, that's more than like some countries. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
are
that's a
making
lot
it,
of money.
like-
30 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're making like a Jeff Bezos every year off
Yeah.
of just the drugs.
Yeah.
Just drugs.
And that's so much more than the fucking drugs. The
Yep.
human trafficking, like that's
It sucks too because, like you said, for them, greed isn't a factor. You know what I mean? Like they'll do anything to increase those profit margins. Anything, you know,
Yeah.
like I said, they'll chop your fucking head off. They'll lace your shit. Because it's not, you know, to them, it's not about like doing fair business or you don't have to worry about Amazon reviews. Like you were talking about fucking up your products or anything like that. It's just, I just want to get the money out of somebody else's hands into mine. And they're using all these intermediates, people,
Yep.
guns. They don't really give a fuck what it is, you know?
And the thing is that they know that, you know, like back in the day, as a drug dealer, you would have to be careful. Like if your shit started killing people, that was a problem because you
go out
could
of
kill
business.
off your customers. But now they know because of the way that they're running wholesale. There's no worry about it. You kill 1,000 people wherever, doesn't matter.
You still a $19 million payday.
There's gonna be a whole new crop of people looking for those drugs
True.
coming right behind them.
That's true.
And this is just we just when the government is so corrupt that the cartels make enough money to pay off police and pay off military and pay off politicians and basically have them turn a blind eye. I mean, this is like, you know, you go 100 miles south of the American border and we're talking deep into cartel territory. Like this is so close to home. And
they run that country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's insane how that works. Like you have this. I mean, it's like in times of old. You know, you have like the government apparatus, which is there, but it's all a proxy set up for like the military. You know, like when like the general is actually the guy in charge because he runs the military, and the people even in the government are scared of him because the military do what the general says,
they run
not
with
what
the
the president
general,
says.
right, yeah.
And so it's the exact same scenario, except the military is just a private cartel organization.
Right.
And, you know, they just have all of these politicians and police officers and city council people. Like, all these people are just paid off or in fear of their lives. And so, like, you just de facto run that entire country.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I had a question. What makes it a cartel? Like, what's the difference between like a gang in a cartel and like maybe like a mafia. Or
So
like
a cartel
mob.
would be like when multiple gangs come together. Like you would have like a business cartel for like price fixing. If a bunch of people in wheat, like the biggest producers of wheat, got together and they started setting the prices for wheat, then that's a cartel. And so it's like when a group of people come together to
illegally control a market.
Yeah, to lean on a market. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like the idea of like a collected monopoly, if you will. And so that's what happens. Like, you have these, like the cartels themselves are made up. They're kind of like what you think of like the Bloods. Like the Bloods are the Bloods, but then there's like factions in the Bloods of like neighborhoods, cities, and sometimes they're not fucking with each other.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in a cartel. You have these different organizations that come together. Like the mafia was a cartel.
Right.
It was a racketing cartel,
Right.
where all these families come together with their own gangs and their own rules and shit. And so that's basically what a cartel is.
Because I definitely wondered that. I'm like, does America have cartels? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we've got to have some too. We got to
If they controlled the market, because like we have gangs, and we have gangs in different branches of government. Like there's the gangs in the sheriff's offices in California are like rampant, where it's like you have but the thing is they're in control of some criminal stuff, like probably getting some dirty money or shit like that, but they're not controlling the whole market. It's
They're not working together with other ones.
Yeah, they're not all. Yeah, exactly. It's just categorization.
To me, I just keep thinking like this drug moving across the border, it feels like it has to be a B2B type scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like, like we talked about, if from Mexico, they're wholesaling. So it's not like they have, and they probably do have some, but just as a grand scheme of how this runs, I don't think the Sinaloa cartel or any of these cartels can have operatives all throughout the United States, which now I'm saying it out loud. I'm pretty sure they do. But, like local drug dealers that are in the Sinaloa cartel, No, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like more so like you would have a Costco or somebody, Like you sell bulk. You sell to Costco, Costco sells to the people.
Yep.
So I feel like there's got to be Costco-sized buyers in America, like American cartels that you just do business with, and then they worry about distributing it throughout their own country. Right?
Yeah, so and drug dealing goes in this kind of like hierarchy. There's like the producers, and then they sell in bulk, and somebody... if you're a big organization, you might have your own transporters to save you that money. But normally you would have the producers. They sell it to a transporter. The transporter ups the price for taking on the risk of transporting it. The producer has his price for producing it. Then the transporter takes it to wherever it's going to be, sells it to like a mid-level wholesaler, and then that guy breaks it down even smaller until it gets to the guy that you end up buying the bag from for $10.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, somebody in that chain knows the cartel people, but they're not necessarily in the cartel.
Right.
In the same way that you would be like an associate of a mafia family, but you're not made.
You're just a contact.
You're a guy that does things for us.
Yeah, it does business.
Yeah, and so it's just like that B2B corporation shit. Yeah,
because in this supply chain, like you said, it's probably China. I don't know how much Mexico's into the manufacturing of things like fentanyl, but like you said, they were definitely making their own meth and their own blow and all those things.
I think the thing is with China, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the profit margins are better if you just get it from China and then transport it from Mexico, because China they have the resources and the infrastructure to make it cheaper.
Yeah.
You could probably make it in Mexico. It's just more expensive than if you just bought it from China. And the Chinese, the triads, they're all over this. Like the triads, like people don't really talk about the triads when you talk about like massive gang stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the cartels are working with the triads to get this fentanyl.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the people in their government, government actors, whether government actors, and so the triads are basically the government. Well, no, I'm just making a joke about how there's triad members in the government. Yeah,
those are the guys doing the deals.
And that's what I would suspect.
It's like Lindsey Graham and the Warhawks. Like it's not a surprise that Lindsey Graham's family happens to be in a lot of private contracting stuff.
Yeah, or like when it comes to like lobbyists, where it's just like
yeah, it's true.
You had that guy from the tobacco lobby in your office a lot last week. What's this new tobacco bill?
Something I've been working on.
Yeah,
it's a passion project.
I really love tobacco.
100%.
I want to see them get paid more.
Yeah, I didn't pull out all the different cartels, but I did look at Sinaloa and
those
the
are
Zetas.
the boys.
Those are the big boys.
Yeah, the Sinaloas are the.
This is
the
El
boys.
Chapo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, and like what was his son? Was the other one too?
Well, it was never just El Chapo. I watched this whole documentary about how El Chapo was like, he was like a number 2 or like a number 1 with this other guy, and the other guy's never even been arrested. They've only got like 2 or 3 photos of him.
They barely even.
Yeah, like El Chapo. You can think of El Chapo like as the
guy who funded Akon City.
Maybe. You can think of El Chapo as maybe like the John Gotti, you know, like a little bit more flashy, a little bit more open to the media and stuff like that. Whereas like the other guy is like you don't know me and I've lived on the same farm that I grew up in, and you wouldn't know. Like even if you came over here, you'd never know that I'm the guy that runs all this shit.
I'm but the simple farmer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best.
And so it's like that mafia boss, I think it was for the Genovese family, who whenever he would go out in public, he would always put on like a bathrobe and pretend to use a cane and look all old and sickly. And, you know, like that was like his public persona. But on the inside, he was fine. He was wearing suits and shit.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Throw him off.
Yeah.
That's some Miyamoto Musashi shit.
Yeah, facts.
But Chapo is such a great example of how strong these cartels really are and their influence, you know, because, I mean, this man escaped prison twice.
He went viral.
You know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, and they still couldn't find him. Like, I mean,
They gave him his son back.
Yeah.
They literally destroyed whole towns and murdered tons of people, and the Mexican government was like, all right, we'll give it back.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
And these two, the Zetas and the Sinaloas, are, when you talk about savagery, they're the ones committing all the savagery. Like the beheading videos, Zetas. People hung from bridges, Zetas. Sinaloa doing the same thing. It's like they're the darkest, dirtiest murderers in the game.
Yeah.
And they're right there.
Yeah.
It's like America's pants. They're sitting down there just mischievous.
Yeah, just
Shaving our legs when we're not looking.
Yeah, just complete mischief.
It's wild. Dude, it's like that. I mean, we lived in Texas, you know what I mean? And like, so I've seen it firsthand. Like going through El Paso, you could see how complicated of a problem this is, because Mexico is like right there. And like you said, the idea of building a tunnel across,
It's very simple.
very simple.
It's not even a mile long.
You were talking about the cartels in America. I mean, that's it right there.
Oh, dude, going through like McAllen, Texas and stuff, like they be out there. Dude, I watched this video the other day of, and it really, I don't need to pull it up, but they were in Laredo, Texas, and these guys are like driving, and they're coming up to a stop sign and a stoplight, and there's a bunch of cartel dudes just there ready to jack them. I don't know if they're actually cartel dudes. They could have just been gang members and stuff, but the guy's like, oh, these are the cartels. Like, they're like, we deal with this all the time. And he like throws it in reverse, and they're trying to block him in and stuff, and he's like, jump the curb, get around and shit. And I'm just like, damn, it'd be like that, man. Like, those dudes they're heavily in the United States.
And if
too.
you were
Mostly
going to
in the
recruit
South,
in the United States, how would you go about recruiting if you were a cartel?
kidnap.
Would you be surprised if I told you TikTok?
What?
Yeah, cartel TikTok.
No.
It's a thing. Now I know that there's everything TikTok is a thing. Like there's like, oh, there's fucking.
I mean, there's an
Are these
ISIS
the
Twitter.
guys that
Yeah.
flash the guns and everything, and they got
So
their, like,
this
face
is-
masks?
this
and they're
is-
like, we getting money over here.
Well, you know, whoever's doing the flashing of all the guns and the money, you know, I'm assuming it's some of it's cartels and some of it's fake or whatever. But it's like that's a way to directly contact the youth of Mexico and Southern American states, or anywhere in America, really. But specifically, like I looked up the TikTok usage in Mexico, just like in America, skyrocketed in like 2019, 2020, like completely like quadrupled, and is only getting bigger. And a third of TikTok's user base is under the age of 18. So a third of the audience that's being exposed to TikTok in Mexico is going to be kids. And now if you make cartel TikTok a thing, you know, it's not a far jump to say that like if you need young people in your cartel, or if you want to appeal to people to join your whatever it is, that's the way to do it.
It's what they call in marketing a touch point. You maybe not like DM me on TikTok to sign up for the Zetas or whatever, but it's a touch point, you know, like
To funnel you.
funnel you in. Like if you're in a destitute situation, you see these examples of people who were in that same situation,
Living.
quote unquote, better their lives through crime. And so you're like, oh, you know,
then they send you
it just
down the funnel.
influenced you. If you were going to turn to crime, you think about the Zetas first.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. TikTok, man.
I was surprised.
A grooming tool for our kids in all fashions.
I was
and
surprised.
forms.
Like if you want to control children, if you want to control the young people of America, like you go to where their eyeballs are. Their eyeballs used to be on YouTube. So YouTube was where everybody would make whatever crazy content they had to get kids to click on it. Now it's kind of like, well, now TikTok's kind of that thing. Yeah. So now it's what's your touch point? What's your touch point for the young kids? Yeah. TikTok.
I prefer their bums.
Yeah, bums.
Weird,
but that's just me.
What's up?
Yeah.
Dude, but it's weird how like that border, it like when you go to Mexico, I don't know. I've
never crossed the border into Mexico.
I've been down there.
I have not.
I haven't been there massively, but it seems to like people think that like Mexico is dangerous. Like it's not. Like you go down to Mexico City and stuff like that, which is way south. It's
a vibrant city.
Yeah,
it's a vibrant city.
Yeah, it's
like any other modern city.
Modern, economically stable city.
Nice big real college.
Yeah, they're like just doing normal Mexico lifestyle stuff, but it seems to get a little more rural and small towny as you get towards the border, and then it's just like this wild west down there between like the border state, like we call them border cities in Texas and in California. That's why I can't really be going down to San Diego, because I just know San Diego be wildin'. I mean, like here's Tijuana and here's San Diego, and you just know that there's mad shit going on down there. But it gets wild. It gets wild. I've seen videos out there. Like, you can just hear AKs and machine guns and stuff just clack, 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 clack out in the street. Like you said, you just be driving down the street, and there'll be bodies hanging from, like, overpasses and stuff. And it's it's like a war-torn country almost.
I was listening to the Meat Eater podcast, and they were talking about, on one of their older episodes, they had just come back from, they do, like, once a year, they'll do a hunting trip in Sonora, Mexico. And they talk about how they've had occurrences where the guys ranch that they're gonna hunt on tells them like, hey, like you'll see some people out there, mind your own business, and they're not gonna bother you. I've already informed them of what you're doing here and everything, and like they talk about it, like that you see them like sometimes, and I think they even got like stopped by some dudes in a pickup truck one time, and they were just asking them what they were doing in the area. You're like, oh, you're out here in the middle of nowhere, these gringos, like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're just hunting, so and so, senor blah 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 gave us permission, no trouble. And they, and that's just like a thing that and these are hunting dudes, so they're rather right-wing leaning sort of kind of guys, and they're like, yeah, like that's just how it goes down there. Like, you just gotta keep your head down and just, hey, look, I'm just here to kill an animal and get the fuck out.
Yeah. Because it's the police, too. The police are awfully corrupt like that, too.
The military. The Mexican military. That's right up there. And it goes all the way. The documentary that I was watching that was explaining about how Chapo was actually just like one of the head guys of the Sinaloa cartel. They were talking about how one of their contacts was being arrested. Like a embassy was getting sieged or whatever. They were trying to raid this like official building to arrest this guy, and he had like the senator on the phone, like running down the street to try to get to this embassy before they arrested him and shit. Like it was like like he's like on the phone with you. He was like, yo, your boys are outside trying to come in the fucking embassy. I need you to get down here. And he's like, yes, absolutely. I'll be right there.
Get me Roger Stone.
Yeah, for the love of God, get the card out of the embassy. We need to get
But the one thing I don't want to say like about them, but, is
the
like
good qualities.
Let's look at the positives.
One thing is it seems like other countries that you go to that are cartel ran or gang ran, a number of them come, all through a lot of third world countries and stuff. This is a common occurrence, but that they're financially motivated. Like I said, it's dangerous because they don't give a fuck. They'll do anything to get the money. But then you look at other like places where they're more ideology motivated and stuff,
or like religion or something.
Right? Yeah, something like that, where it's like about a certain cause and you purposely want to inflict damage.
Yeah,
like,
is that why we're not going to war with the cartels?
Well, I mean, I think that just we tried that and it just hasn't really panned out.
Well, I mean, we could just fly a couple Apaches down there and just.
Well, the problem is that it's sort of like an insurgency. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's sort of like an insurgency. So you'd have to take a very surgical approach to it, which is much more difficult and time sensitive. Like, like you could just go and carpet bomb. Like I said, like I said in the Afghanistan episode, if we really wanted to militarily, we could have just leveled the entire country of Afghanistan and quote unquote been victorious against the Taliban, while also killing millions of civilians at the same time. And so that's kind of the same problem in Mexico, is that it's not like the government. Like, the government is like a lever that they use to influence what happens, but it's not the government. Like, it's not the country. It's just these people that run it, sort of. So instead of like killing it, instead of bombing an entire country to remove their dictator, you go in and you try to assassinate him and just replace him without having to have all the casualty deaths. And so that's probably one of the main reasons why we don't go over there and just be like, look, y'all are causing a lot of fuck shit for us. We're just going to put a halt to it. Because it's like, you don't really know who it is.
I got another point to that too. We keep saying it's not just Mexico too, really.
It's true.
We got to understand, like, Mexico is only, I wouldn't say only, but their real involvement here is they're a loose border to the United States, right? Like, you can't get
a pathway
things directly into United States. Canada is just as locked down as we are, but then you have this one place that has all these looser rules and restrictions and a lot of corruption and stuff. So, I mean, you know, it's a lot of Colombia, a lot of like other like
Argentina.
Yeah, like other Southern American countries.
I'm looking at you, Bolivia.
But, you know, we even talked about, like you said, even if you wanted to get something from China, how do you get it? You know, you're going to go through Mexico. So it's like you got Chinese, you know, cartels, I'm sure, working through there and stuff. And it's more of just like a trade route than it is like a country versus country thing. And I think that just muddies up all the waters to be able to just go through and like wipe it out. Like, essentially, you have to build a wall or do something. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to like shut that whole border down in a way that is, and you know, that's
why the idea of legalization or finding some way to like regulate or allow this into our system completely, like, instead of trying to like, all right, well, how are we gonna defeat the dragon? Like, you know, it's just like, just don't fight him.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was thinking we could chop his head off and then we'll tie his legs behind his back. Like, no. Just don't fight the dragon. We just don't have to fight the dragon. Just go around.
It's like a dragon where every time you stab it, it gets bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you stop feeding the dragon, it will eventually die on its own.
Well, so that's the big thing too, right? Is you got to also remember, like, we're asking for this shit. Like, that's another thing that Americans love to forget. Like, it's like, these people, again, are really only incentivized by profit. You know, if there were no customers, they wouldn't be selling us drugs. You know, like, they wouldn't be selling us.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
It is. Yeah. It really, really is. And the only thing that causes all the mischief and cumfuckery is it's illegal, right? But
it's like a game of tag. It's like, all right, see if you can get the drugs over the border, and I'll see if I can catch you. All right, go. Instead of just being like, just walk across, give that guy the drugs, he'll pay you.
Yeah. He's going to test them and pay you, and then we're going to move it on out. Mm-hmm. You know, like, just like you do anything else. You bust open a truck full of corn, you know, you check the weights, make sure everything, the paperwork's in order. Mm-hmm. All right, get on through.
Yeah, if I sell you a batch of corn that kills you.
Chop off 100 people's heads to, like, you know, do something.
You don't have to hang people from bridges to get the point out. Like, don't you fucking talk.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk about the corn.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Because that's the weird thing about, we talk about this, anything you try and suppress into the shadows, and it's like, you're just pretending, you know, like, people want the drugs.
People are going to get abortions.
They want you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna. This is what people, your humans, your citizens, and not just one guy wants to. You know, like, this is what the people want, and you trying to like protect them and like regulate. Like, ain't nobody listening to your fuck ass. You know what I mean? And all you're doing is really ends up causing a lot more issues than it solves any problem.
That's almost an argument for like representation in politics, because once again, it's like, who's going to solve the opioid crisis? I know who. It's old white men. You know, like, okay, like, how many times are we gonna let old white men have a crack at fixing our problem?
It's not working out that way. He's got a bad track record.
Yeah, bad track record.
How many times are we gonna?
Would somebody sell this guy?
Anybody else? Somebody else want to?
Hey, African American woman, do you have a
white guy's like me? No, me. I got anybody in the back?
Do we have a non-white Hispanic in the back? No.
No. All right, fine. Old white man.
Oh,
what do you got?
What do you?
I say we make all the drugs illegal. All right.
And then people will stop doing them.
And then we just don't let people in the border, unless they want to come by submarine.
And then we trick them with the illegal drugs to buy them, and then we catch them.
And we catch them. We convince them we're the ones who are selling the drugs.
It's a foolproof plan.
Yeah, we get all the criminals that way.
Seriously. But it's kind of the United States way sometimes, and it sucks to me. It's like we always take that approach of we got the big, just drop the big dick on them.
Yeah,
you know,
just swing it around.
just
They'll
swing it
get
in their
scared.
face. They'll run away, and it just never works out like that. And we end up making all these enemies in places that and now we really do. We're at war with cartels, and it's like honestly. These dudes just, I'm romanticizing the cartels a little bit. I get they're very vicious and all that stuff. But like I said, in the end, their goal is really to make money. And so you really just have an economic enterprise that you decided now that you're going to turn into an enemy.
That's why the Zetas left the Delta Force or whatever it was in Mexico, because their pay was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided as a group of 20 or 30 of them out of a couple hundred to be like, you know what? This guy right here says he'll hire us as his personal hit squad.
Yeah.
And he's going to pay us full-on salary, benefits, dental, hearing, vision. You get everything.
401k.
Yeah, you got a retirement plan. He's going to bring me over here, and I just got to, do a little killing.
Yeah.
Do a little killing. So
Which is already what you're getting paid
yeah,
to do.
it's already a morally ambiguous job being like a fucking, the elite airborne unit that's killing people. Because what else does an elite airborne unit train to do? They're not going down there to have tickle fights. They go down there to kill people. So now you got a guy who's like, I want you to kill people for me, and I'll pay you 10 times what the government pays you. Makes sense that some
why
of them
wouldn't
would
you
leave.
do that?
You know what I'm saying? Like
Now, if you pay those people in their government positions a livable wage, something that's sustainable, or give them incentives, then maybe you can keep them because the morality plus, the standard of living. But if your standard of living dips too low and you're already in a morally ambiguous job, what's it take to jump ship?
Facts. And I didn't do any research leading up to this because it's just something that just popped into my mind. But I would love to see what our stance is right now to try and deal with these cartels and things like that, because like you said, they're not getting any smaller. The Sinaloa is probably as strong as they've ever been, and they're the biggest, probably the biggest cartel. They're just going to keep growing, and as long as that their incentives are there for them. And I just wonder, what's the, it's because the last thing we heard was get the guns.
I was going to say, old white man had a plan.
Yeah.
Sell him some guns.
And that was 30 years ago.
Didn't work.
I just wonder if we're thinking of a different strategy at this point, or if we're still just like, nah, we'll stomp them out eventually. It's like trying to fight a rodent problem.
We can get them canceled on TikTok.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Get them banned.
Get them banned off
But
Twitter.
I'm telling you right now, though, the biggest problem is that we're such a spotlight political system. So, when the cartels are in the spotlight, everybody's got something to say about it. But when they're not, nobody... I'd be willing to guess that only the people that, only mid to low level people whose names you don't know are the people thinking about the cartel, and they just probably don't have the backing and the resources to really combat it on any significant level. It takes everybody's attention to really get that's why the protests and stuff come in. It's you have to get so many people behind you before it really moves the giant ship that is the government.
Yeah.
So it's, until something big happens again. And now, like you said, with the whole romanticization of the cartels through shows and movies and stuff, now it's back in the day, before all that stuff, before all that press or whatever, all of that media attention, whenever you would think about them, you would think about the cartels in a negative light. But now, if you mention the word cartels, your favorite show could be the first thing that you think of.
Or a great movie with Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, and so you're not thinking about it in a sense we really need to put some pressure on the politicians to fix this. You're like, oh yeah, the cartels, they make for great movies. And that's
very true.
And if you're not one of these people overdosing on fentanyl because the cartels are shipping it in from China, then what do you care?
Yeah. It's really scary though too, and I can state the problem and my general solution to it, but the problem is, we talked about, these guys are gonna chase that profit no matter what. And I'll tell you this, I don't like fentanyl laced drugs and stuff like that, but if we were to legalize all drugs and close down that market for them, what market are they going to move into? Well, the other markets are very more dangerous.
Guns, humans.
And humans. Yeah, and human trafficking already like a huge problem. I could only see that skyrocketing because the UPS can't ship a person, you know what I mean? So your really only option is smuggling and through, humans, so that it just becomes like, I feel like they move into that market far greater than they already
hit that
do.
One with the old legalization head stamp again, to legalize the fucking
human trafficking.
No, not human trafficking.
It'll be legal and safe.
if you regulate sex work.
Regulated. But yes, that's true.
Like if you're like, okay, well,
That's true.
you can have a brothel, but you can't have girls from Guatemala
Yeah.
that can't speak English
That's
that
true.
get dropped off every morning with black eyes.
That's true.
Like, there's a difference between like being like, I'm a registered worker in the state of whatever. Like if you're going to be a stripper in Nevada, you got to go get a little
License
fucking
and
license or
everything. Yeah,
something.
that's true.
So I mean, like that's a way to kind of take out some of the human trafficking
true.
element. So, like if they move from drugs to human trafficking, let's tackle that market.
Yeah. For me, what I see it as the overarching problem. Like I see all these things as a symptom to one big problem, and that is economic pooling. Like all the resources pooling in all these first world countries and ignoring all the third world. You see this even in our own country, right? Like all the money pooling up to the rich and then forget about the not understanding that it's all connected, like it's all connected. If you want to have a very good quality of life over here in this little subsection, it could help to try and bolster those you know what I mean? Like imagine if Mexico was like a Canada, and they were economically prospering and you could just go down the street and get a job at fucking McDonald's. Why would you sit in a fucking submarine and go across the Gulf of Mexico? Like that's why a lot of I'm not doing that shit. You got me fucked up, bitch. Because even at $50,000, like there's a lot of things I could do out here for $50,000 in the United States without getting into some risky ass submarine that you built or chopping off people's heads. But over there, what else you gonna do? Like you said, what else you're gonna be a legitimate military dude and live off of $2,000?
Who gets shot in the back
year?
by one of his buddies that's getting paid off by the cartels?
You see what I'm saying? Like you might as well go over there where the money is, where the opportunities are. And so for me, I see that as a fail in a lot of these different places where we just like, well, that's their problem. That's Mexico's economic problem. Well, no, Mexico's economic problem bleeds over to your problem.
Yeah, because the top 1% of America is not out there doing fentanyl.
You know what I'm saying? That's true. But their kid might be at a party and they might, whatever.
it might touch
can
them.
still touch
Yeah.
you, and that's my point. And you want to get rid of it, but you think you can just kind of flash your status or your strength or whatever, and you can repel it from you, is my point. It's like you can push those things away. Like I'm gonna push all these drug problems and all this stuff out of my country, and it's like nah. If you find a way to, that's just what I see. Now, of course, that's coming from my average.
You make a great point about like the economic side of things. I would like to point at the morality of our Puritan values.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do drugs. That's a sin. You can't have sex for money. That's a sin. That's a bad thing. No.
Yeah.
We are a Christian nation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Sodom and Gomorrah type shit, but I think if we were to relax our morals a little bit and allow things to be regulated markets, we could probably tackle drugs and human trafficking in a pretty meaningful way.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that
But they're sins. And
you
don't say damn in front of grandma.
Can't let
you don't
that go
say
down.
don't say shut up.
Yeah. But we seem to be relaxing, so I wonder if I feel like the United States is getting less and less and less into that idea of like being dominated by Christianism, as my brother.
Well, we seem to be coming along in strides when it comes to sexual freedom.
Right.
But with drugs, doesn't seem to. With other than weed.
But weed now we've seen the legalization of psilocybin too, and
it's a slow roll. Like weed was like the breakthrough one.
Sure.
LA or California did their medical marijuana back in like 94. So it's been around for a while, and now it's in a majority of the states
recreationally. We're this close to making it federally.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it's
the same
only a
thing that
matter of
happened
time.
with gay marriage.
So I think the same thing, and Oregon, was it Oregon? I think Oregon just decriminalized all drugs.
Yeah.
And they're gonna try something like the Portugal route, and so it's like And I wanted to bring this up too. You brought up a good point about them just moving into different markets, which is exactly what happened. You know, a lot of the weed, you know, I was surprised at the statistic numbers. I can't remember them exactly, but a good bulk of the weed that's here in America still comes from Mexico, even with all of the legalization. But it's a significantly less than it used to be. And the numbers of cocaine trafficking and fentanyl and all these other drugs went up for the cartels after the massive legalization front that we had a few years ago. So that just goes to show that if you start squeezing down on those nets, they will move over to something else. And so unfortunately there is no perfect solution, which would be to change the selfish human nature to become more altruistic and not do things that might hurt others at your benefit. So you'll never get to that point where there's no reason for there to be a cartel. But if there is a market for anything, it will either be a legal market or it will be an illegal market, but there will be a market. And so obviously for me, I'm thinking if there is a market, it should be like, I feel like with the abortion, safe and rare. You know, like that's kind of the whole idea. You want it to be like something safe, and you don't necessarily want people to do it all the time, but the costs of trying to force it out of society are so much greater than the benefit is.
Well, and see, that's the difference I see, right? It's like, I get that. We don't want to, like you said, take us into Sodom and Gomorrah type deal, but there's a difference between toleration and promotion. Right? So, like, sure, let them sex work. Doesn't mean you have to run ads on my social media for you know, the brothel down the street or anything. Like, you don't have to promote it around and say like, yo, get into this. It's the new hot thing. But you can still make allowances for it to happen. And like you said,
like they do with cigarettes, you know, you
or
don't
restrictions,
see cigarette ads.
Right. You know,
but
like,
everybody, you know, tons of people buy cigarettes.
Them.
And so it's like the same thing. Like, yeah, like don't have Cartoon Network be interrupted by the brothol ad or whatever. But, you know, if you're an adult and you want to go pay some woman and she's willing to get paid,
right,
do your business.
Have a Fortnite orgy event. With
like what the fuck? The Playboy Mansion Fortnite.
But I think that's a healthy balance in a lot of those schemes and stuff that we talk about, you know, because in the end, I just don't want people getting hurt. Because, I mean, even those cartels, like you said, you legalize all these things, they're going to move into like illegal lumber sales or something, you know, because people forget there'd be like there's like an illegal sugar market, there's an illegal like all types of foods, all types of things like that. Because
I guess as a caveat I should say there's always going to be a market, and it's either going to be majoritively legal or majoritively illegal, because there's a black market for everything. So I mean, like you said, the black market for marijuana is still alive and well, just because you know,
the cartels move into fireworks.
Whatever.
But all those things, you know, seem a lot less detrimental to your society if I bought this blood lumber, you know.
This was not ethically sourced wood.
I'm sorry if it's got a little bit of a red tint to it.
This is kind of still true though, because I mean that's a big deal, right? Like, you know, like the diamonds and stuff, like or you get coal, like illegal coal, or cocoa beans. I found out cocoa beans are a big thing, where like you're getting this cocoa, but then you find the farms are like all staffed by kids who were like kidnapped from their villages and shit. And
I was watching.
To work in the cocoa
what was that
fields.
documentary I watched where they were showing the kids? It was like someplace in Africa where they were mining like the lithium or something for batteries or whatever. But they literally like they're using these crazy chemicals, and they have this like barrel. Like it was so weird. Like
and
this
they
dude,
walk up the mountain.
this dude had like a sifter thing, and he was like sifting mud, and then he like took the stuff that was on the sifter and like dumped it in this barrel full of chemicals, and then he just like hiked up his shorts and stuck his leg in the barrel and started stirring this like chemical soup with his leg, because the chemicals would break down the earth around the lithium ore so that they could like get it out. And he's like mixing it with his fucking leg. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Hey, if you want a Tesla battery, you gotta...
some kid's going to have to mix your chemical soup with a leg. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? It's crazy.
I don't know if it was actually...
I don't know if it was lithium. One of these weird rare metals. I want to say it was
like sulfur or something. Oh,
yeah, but it was just like... batteries. It's crazy. And I also wanted to bring up, you made a great point about, you know, the people's perception of like this being a Christian nation, or it's a nation built on a moral foundation or something like that. And that's where a lot of this drug war stuff really stems from, is that as an individual that is Christian or fundamentalist or whatever, and they have an association, they feel, I'm an American. I'm part of the group that is America. But then there's also other Americans that you think make Americans look bad. You don't want them to do those things because it's making you look bad. So you don't want to associate with yourself with these people, and so you either need to cast them out or control their behavior. And so I mean,
we do both.
We do both, yeah. So their strategy is do both.
Yeah, 100%. That's true though. That's true. Like you said,
if you were more tolerant of people making decisions that you not necessarily agree with, but don't hinder you in any certain way, then a lot of this stuff could go away. Because then you could have the Puritans who would be like, we don't mess with drugs in our family, in our community, whatever. But then the druggy community can be like, yeah, that's cool. We mess with drugs over here. Yeah. And if y'all are like cool to let that be cool, like both of y'all live in Chicago, then we're good.
Yeah.
But the problem is that this town ain't big enough for the two of us type shit.
And it depends on the issue, because like you've never seen anti-drug protesters chilling outside of every dispensary like, don't smoke weed.
Right.
Weed is bad for your brain. But like at an abortion clinic, they're lined up out there for days.
Well, because I think that involves another human being though, or another soul, or whatever you want to. Like with weed, like it's pretty self-affecting. You know what I mean? Like if you want to smoke weed, like we don't like it, but not enough to get out there and try and fight for your right to be a healthy individual, Yeah. Which we found that the United States is just not into that at all. Like fighting for your individual right to be healthy, nobody cares. No. As long as you don't like fuck with me or somebody else, then
it's like, can you, give me, like, help me with my health care and teach me how to be a better, like, don't feed me trans fats and soda. And they're like, no. Drink the soda, eat the trans fats.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Wear a mask.
Yeah. It's definitely, it comes down to I'm trying to find the best way to word this. It's like the idea of the controlling the behavior of the other people seems like a very tribal thing. Like I can understand like a father not wanting their kid to like associate with like weed heads or whatever, like I just don't want, that's like a bad influence. But like it's a totally different thing for that father to then go to the other kid's father and be like, your son's over here smoking weed and shit. I want you to make him stop. Yeah. Like that's the next step on that paradigm, I think.
And which I realized as we were having this conversation about the moralities and all this stuff, and I was like, my solution for it's not that much better, because we just kind of call that colonization, like imperialism, where America goes around and tries to like make you more American, like we're gonna bring you up to our level, and then they're also like, well, we don't like that either, like we got our own thing going on over here, we'll do our own thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what the solution is, but maybe there is not one. Maybe we just are always
depends on what your definition of the word solution is.
Yeah, with cartel action and stuff like that. But it's a dangerous game. I mean, like I said, I think the idea of you being affected by like the cartel directly, like I think that only happens in very pocketed places. Like I said, you live in McAllen, Texas, like your chances of running in with some cartel folk, or you live in Juarez or something, it's probably going to be high. But you live in Oregon, they're not going to really touch you, but that fentanyl might.
Look out for them Canadian
I was going to
cartels.
say, that fentanyl might be the touch point.
Your kid could get snatched up from Oregon and moved down into it, so it could still touch you. But at the same time, I think you have more individual control over that. Like I think you can individually control that. I don't think you're going to control the mobs or the mafias that are like these big giant. I mean, especially when they got $30 billion in those bitch. Like that's a lot of influence. Yeah.
And that's when they say like, people make it's like misinformation to say like there's no money in poor areas. It's like, no, it's just untraceable. And you just don't, like there's money there.
It's true.
Like, people are paying for these drugs.
That's
true.
It's
not like don't have any money. Like there's tons of money in the poor neighborhoods. Right. You just don't know where to look.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's like Social Security, disability. A lot of it's, if you're on the government dole, like, and you got an addiction, that's feeding your addiction every month. Like a lot of those people you see that are in the South that are really, really, really poor, and are surrounded by people who are buying and selling pills, somebody there has got a prescription. Somebody there has, got the pain and is getting the, the scripts.
Yeah. But I mean, then there's just like getting paid under the table, like you're an immigrant worker that works for some construction company or something. Like you said, you're making money, but then we'll call you extremely destitute or, there's more money there than we account for. I can see that a lot. I mean, that's happening at the top too. Like who knows how much money they got stashed away in the Cayman Islands somewhere too. But yeah, I get your point. But cartels, man, like I said, like growing up in West Texas and all that stuff, and like having to experience, I wouldn't say I experienced it, but you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be a problem. I'm mostly concerned for it in the idea of like human trafficking and stuff like that. Like, cause that seems to be a problem that's growing, and it's weird if you just focus on it. You also have to look at the cartels as like a generalized thing, because if you just say, well, I want to fight drugs, then that moves them over into other places and stuff. And
if you want to just fight the border, 80% of the fucking shit's coming through the water.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I was going to get at too, because a lot of this seems like you're supporting a conversation for like building a wall or like locking up that border type deal. But again, it's a countermeasure that always gets trumped. You know what I mean? Like every time you come up with some type of safety feature, the other guy's just as innovative as you are, and he's fighting against you. Like the mouse is just as smart as the cat is.
The pressure's pushing. You're putting your finger in, and it's popping another one. Yeah. And you're putting your finger in, and it's popping another one.
Literally.
Where there is a will, there is a way.
There is a way. So it's like you can build that wall,
People
and
gonna
it'll
get
stop
these drugs.
some of them.
Oh, they gonna get these drugs.
And that's why I'm not too worried about the drugs. Like the only reason that the drugs seem negative in this whole aspect is that the violence that it leads to because of their legality,
and you not being able to get the drug that you're actually trying to get.
That's what I'm saying. Like it all stems from the legality of the drugs. Like you have to willingly, like nobody's, well, not nobody, but I think it'd be a rare occurrence to find out that people were just running around like forcibly feeding fentanyl to other people. You know what I mean? Like you have to take the drug.
Oh, true.
Like you have to be purchasing and willing. There's a lot of willing parts of that transaction. Whereas like with the human trafficking, there's no consent there. There's no willingness. Like you just kidnap these people and then traffic them for sex.
No, I feel you. But in the sense of like, what if you go down to your pharmacy and you want to pick up your Advil or your diabetes medication, and they accidentally give you
the wrong thing,
and then they kill you? Like, they didn't forcibly fuck you, but they still fucked you.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, that's a mistake. That's a
human error.
A human error thing rather than a human maliciousness type of situation. Because I think that there's a lot less maliciousness coming from the drug part, just because maybe only one party in that is malicious, whereas with the human trafficking thing, all parties involved in the transactions, except for the product themselves, which is the people, are malicious.
Yeah, all around.
Yeah, so it's like the drugs, it's like
you're not buying a person not knowing that it's like a
bad thing. Yeah, like, it's you're purchasing a human being. Whereas like, just buy some drugs. It's like, even though, and the problem is that like people are disassociated with like the drug thing too, because you pay the people for the drugs and then they use that money to go kidnap people.
Big caveat though. You go to a brothel, you're just looking for a prostitute, you don't necessarily know that girl you're fucking is human trafficked. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, there is room for, but again,
there's always corruptibility.
Yeah, it shows, again, the consumption. I mean, really, legalization does seem to be a really good way to get around a lot of this stuff.
No. Shut the border down, okay?
Kick out all the brown people.
We ain't gonna have no sin around here.
If we catch you with the drugs as a user, punish that guy.
Yeah. We'd much rather you fuck a underage illegal girl from Taiwan than just talk about it.
It's gonna be. I bet you watch. It's gonna be like the FBI, like the ATF, like setting up fake brothels with kids and all.
Like to see if you pick the. You know what I mean? Like
it's like cuties all over again.
Yeah,
it's like we're protecting children by exploiting children.
Yeah,
there was a.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
There was a famous case. I wish I could remember like the name of it, but it was basically like they busted these dudes down in Florida, like local cops or whatever, busted these dudes who were like part of the government. And they had kids with them. And those kids were kind of like unaccounted for. And then they start looking into this. It's it's not the collectors or something, but there's a very deep conspiracy where there's actual like documents that were released that were like the actual like the police thing where it's like, these are the guys we encountered, this is who they said they were, and like the parents being like, oh no, like we told them they could go with those guys, and then they found like these weird pictures of the kids with like animal sacrifices and shit, and it's like this was what looked like CIA, FBI like doing child stuff, like honeypot shit, like Epstein shit, because I'm pretty sure that if Jeffrey Epstein wasn't working for the Israeli government, like, then why would his girlfriend be like a former Mossad agent's daughter? Like, you know, it's just like all these things like, oh, what a coincidence. And then he killed himself. Oh, these coincidences just fix themselves.
Yeah, no, yeah. 100%.
Our loose ends tie themselves.
Tie themselves right up. Look at that.
Yeah.
Literally.
So,
Super.
yeah.
They literally tie themselves.
If there's anything I've learned from today's cartel talk, it's we be just shooting ourselves and being like, someone shot us.
Yeah.
Like, no, you had your hand on the gun, dummy.
You were doing it the whole time.
You trained them. You gave them the guns. What'd you think they were going to do?
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
Common denominator.
It's like this.
Yeah, right? Like, we're always
This Mexican cartel member just came down of this helicopter airborne style and shot me with an M16.
Yeah,
How could that have happened?
Where did he learn how to do that?
Where'd he get that gun?
It's so true. So true.
Yeah.
All right, well, whatever. I'm going to stay away from all that shit. I'll tell you what. You know,
Yes, I am not going to do fentanyl,
No, can't do
and
it.
I don't want to be part of cartel
Can't do it.
TikTok.
You hope you're not going to do fentanyl. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, you're right. They
be
might
careful.
sneak it into my
shit.
shit.
Sneak it into your sugar water, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, damn, I thought I was drinking
Gatorade now with
fentanyl in it, you know? Like, geez.
For
Louise.
recovery.
Yo, y'all be careful out there, though, for
Be
real,
careful.
man. Like, check your sources, check where you're getting stuff from, you know, try. We didn't talk about this a lot, but buying locally, sourcing your materials locally.
If you know where it came
if you
from.
know the farmer that grew your shit,
Yeah.
you know, that
Buy
can
local.
go a lot.
Or,
to
you
help.
know, grow your own.
Yeah, grow
Yeah.
That's also legal.
Make your
now.
own meth. It's
Yeah.
way safer.
You need heroin? Get it locally sourced.
Locally sourced heroin, baby. I smoke that good Louisiana shit. We don't fuck with that Afghan shit.
And the cartels, there's nothing you can do but hide. You know, man. Dang, we didn't even talk about that too, because those motherfuckers are so good at hiding in plain sight too. You
Oh
know?
yeah, it's almost like an insurgency, like
Yeah,
you mentioned
dude,
earlier,
it's
and it's like the hits,
weird.
the gang
You
affiliations.
could just be friends with a cartel member and not even know. Like,
I was
that's
gonna
like-
say that earlier. You know, living in Texas, I had many more interactions with people that were loosely or tightly associated with cartels than I did with like gangs or anything else. Like I knew guys who were friends of my friends who were like, I don't know if they were a part of it, but they definitely worked with those motherfuckers. Like, I knew some sketchy dudes out in Texas.
I definitely dated some girls who like were in some families that I just.
Couple of cholas.
They all gave me weird vibes, you know. I was just like, because like, you know, like a gang member is like about that, like they want you to know almost a lot of times, you know, like gangs
Very
and stuff
flamboyant.
yeah,
With
it's
the flags
a very,
and the
like,
colors
you know
and-
what I mean, like territorial and very like you get pride from that.
Yeah.
Cartels a lot more like an insurgency.
It's a
you
hush
know?
hush
It's
type of
like a
situation.
very like I'm a businessman.
Yeah, you meet a guy,
You know?
really nice clothes, real young guy wearing a Rolex.
Yeah,
what do
what
you
I
do? Grow weed.
Yeah.
Make a lot of
Yeah.
money
You
doing
growing
that,
up-
apparently.
Yeah, wow.
What kind of operation you got going on here, buddy?
I hide people. I hide kidnapped kids in the weed fields.
Yeah,
It
you
ups
know
the
what
profit
I mean?
margin.
Like, yo, crazy.
I have my bud tended to by human slaves.
Dude, that fucking Murder Mountain documentary was all about that shit on Netflix. They're talking about how in Humboldt County, people just, it's got like
A lot of people
the
go there.
highest like disappearance rate in like America or some crazy shit like that. Like more people go missing in Humboldt County than like anywhere else. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, what?
Yeah. It's so true though, man. Like I said, even coming from LA, like, you know, you forget like drugs are illegal. You know, you forget that a lot of these things that you growing weed at the time, especially when all this Murder Mountain stuff is illegal, and people just you don't understand that when you do illegal things, there's an inherent risk that comes with it. You know, that risk isn't always just going to jail. You know, like that. I know that from personal experience. I mean, I talked about a lot of different drugs and things that I've been involved in throughout my career. My life.
Show me the drug facts.
Yeah. But I guess my point being is like that was always ever my only concern. You know, like when I was doing drugs and stuff, I was never thinking like, oh, could this turn into an overdose? Am I funding cartels? You know, I didn't think any of that.
I was just thinking about cops.
I was just thinking about cops. That's
Just cops.
all I thought about. My only enemy in that whole arena was make sure the police don't catch me. But, you know, you got other risk factors that are involved. I don't care how small or big you are. You know, like even down to the guy just buying the little dime bag. I'm not going to judge you. I don't care. But you should definitely take some reflection and understand that you are a part of these things that we're talking about. I've been a part of these things that we're talking about. And it's the, you know, both sides of the seesaw. So you're on that ride. So,
facts.
You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just saying you got to take all those.
How long until we get a president who smokes weed?
I don't know.
Never?
Not never.
Openly, like, you know,
I mean,
like,
I
I'm
just-
sure
when does
Bill
it-
Clinton be ripping
Look,
some weed.
look.
Obama, he looked like a weed.
You could
smoker.
be.
Both of them used to smoke weed when they were children,
You know
so
what
it's
I'm saying?
like
Like-
not children, but,
but
you know,
like,
The point I'm making is we can see our president get a toast at an award ceremony and take a sip of champagne
Sure.
and think nothing of it.
Sure.
You know, like he can crack open a beer or something.
Sure.
And we would think nothing of it.
sure,
But what's
I think that
1,500 years maybe. The culture moves slow. Like
I agree.
technology
I
moves
agree.
fast, but culture moves.
I'm gonna go
I
with
think it'll-
U.S. will dissolve before.
Before we see that, you know?
yeah, I think it'll at least have to be decriminalized federally and like, you know, maybe even I don't know, like it has to be recognized on a federal level before anything like that happens.
But then
to me.
even stigma has to wear away so much
Yeah.
to the point where like I mean, because you got to think of how
I mean,
many years
honestly,
did we
it's
build
not
it
going to
up?
be a Republican. Like, obviously, it'll be more of like a Democratic person. Because, like, the Republican people are evangelical people. You know, like, they're not really going to fuck with that. But I could see, like Obama got a lot of credit when that photo came out of him
Bro.
smoking that joint. Like,
Speaker of
everybody
the House-
loved that shit.
The
Only
Speaker
thing-
of the House, Boehner. You remember he came out mad
Yes.
pro marijuana.
Only
Yes.
thing that keeps flashing in my head right now is Elon Musk on Joe Rogan. Like that's the type of scenario. it's
Like,
gonna
you're
be
in a
where-
state
where
you're
he's
legal
like,
age.
I mean, yeah, sure, I can hit this. You know, he's on the campaign trailer. He's like,
And he didn't even inhale it. Like, we actually had video proof.
yeah.
You can see he sucks it into his mouth and then he just opens it and lets it all out. And that smoke was way too thick. He didn't take that big
He
of a
didn't take
hit
that into
to
his lungs.
inhale it and then it
Yeah,
come out
sure.
that
I know
thick.
what processed smoke
I've been
looks like.
smoking weed a long time. I can tell when somebody inhales that
Yeah.
shit. He didn't even inhale it, and his stock price dropped like
Dropped
crazy.
by-
It's like he did a completely legal thing.
Here's what I want to see. And I want to see. You're talking about like, oh, like a president like hit it on the campaign trail. I want to see my president at a fireside chat, just crack it open up White House, be like,
come out to do the.
I come to you today, my fellow American people.
I tell you what, as soon as we elect Vermin Supreme as president, that's
It'll
just gonna happen.
Yeah, I see you posting this stuff a lot.
You think
He's
Vermin
funny.
Supreme-
Funny
He's
as
funny.
hell.
I think
Oh,
Vermin
man.
Supreme would gut a blunt and roll one up on a
100%.
fireside chat.
Absolutely.
100%.
Then-
Vermin Supreme
Got my vote.
strikes me as the kind of guy who would get elected president and then like resign or do some weird shit where like he completely dissolved the entire office of its power or some shit like that. Like Vermin Supreme is like a really interesting guy.
Yeah, I'll tell you that if you're somebody out there that wants to see a marijuana smoking president, vote libertarian. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only way I see that going down.
Vote Green Party.
The new Green Party.
The new Green Deal. Yeah, it's going to be AOC out there.
Free
putting
weed
the
for
volume in.
everybody. Now that's a Green New Deal I can get behind.
Yeah.
To tax the weed on her dress. all right.
This is
And that will leave you guys until the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.